Hey, check 1, 2. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the JR the Handler Show, where we go behind the curtain and meet some of the people who make the world of country music work. Today, I've got on a great guest. He's going to jump on the Zoom machine with us here in just a minute. I have been working with this guy hand in hand for the last 12 years. He's as knowledgeable and as efficient and is just all-around badass in the world of production as you're ever going to meet. He's got one of the best ears in the business, and just a good guy, solid worker. We'll go into all that. I'm glad to call him friend and coworker. So we'll bring him on soon. Before then, want to give a shout out to the shows we've done lately. Had a blast this past week. Up at Beacon Skift in Lafayette, New York. Great venue there. We did our normal run in Dewey Beach, our yearly two-night stand in Dewey Beach this past weekend as well. That was a lot of fun. Always is. Good food, good weather. Had a little rain on one of the nights, but not enough to shut us down. The prior week, we had a great run up to Michigan, played a private show in Ohio, Wisconsin. Coming up soon, we've got to go, well, I don't know if this episode will make it out by then, but we've got shows this weekend in Brownstown, Indiana, Tunica, Mississippi, and Albertville, Alabama. Playing the Sand Mountain Amphitheater in Albertville, Alabama, which I'm sure I'll have some friends from back in the day show up to that. Look forward to seeing all of them. Then the following week, we got to go up to Canada doing Boots and Hearts Festival, which Jeff and I will actually talk about a little bit on this episode today because we've got to advance that and thought we'd do some of that while we were on the air. No off-season sports up in Russellton, PA. Last time we played there was the same day when the attempted assassination on President Trump went down. Hopefully we won't have any incidents this time. And that's not far from where it all went down. Butler, PA, and Russellton are not that far. It's western Pennsylvania. Then Belvedere, Illinois. Then on in the middle of August, Crown Point, Indiana, Escambia, Michigan, Corcoran, Minnesota. So y'all be sure to check justinmooremusic.com and check our tour dates. Come see us at a show soon. It's been a lot of fun out on the road this past week. The boys put together a throwback set because we did two-night stand in Dewey Beach, so instead of doing our normal set where we change out a song or two here and there, they mixed it up and did a whole new set of a bunch of older songs that we don't play much anymore. Thought that was very cool. I'm sure the fans enjoyed that. As far as the podcast goes, had a great time last week with my brother Justin David. Currently out on the road with Rodney Atkins. I mean, some great stories. You could tell in just us conversating, he's got a bunch of stories. I mean, being on the road with Roy Clark for 16 years and all the people he met doing that, are you kidding me? And then Colt Ford for a decade. I mean, you're bound to have some good stories there. Excuse me. But it was great catching up with Justin. I hope you guys and gals out there in podcast land enjoyed that episode, listening to that episode or watching that episode as much as I did making the episode. Everybody make sure to spread the love if you don't mind. Let your friends, family, anybody in the music world know that you think would like this show. Let them know how to find it. You can subscribe, like, hit the notification button. That really helps the show. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can find podcasts. So go check it out. Spread the love. Give a comment. Don't forget about 424 Handler, the call line. You can text or call, leave me a voicemail on there. I've got a couple of those piled up we're going to play. I'm probably just going to do an episode one day where I just go through those and banter on voicemails that have been left on the 424 Handler line. That's been a lot of fun. Want to keep that going, so y'all make sure to hit me up on there. Got tomorrow, I just noticed, and I'm recording this on Monday the 28th for all transparency. Tomorrow is my little nephew Aiden's birthday. He turns 6. So excited that it's his little birthday. I don't get to spend it with him. He's down in the Tampa area, and I'm just not going to be able to make it down there this year. But we're going to catch up soon. We had a great time during 4th of July. He is just precious. I love him so much. So happy birthday, Aiden. Also, I didn't realize sharing a birthday with my nephew Aiden's one of my other road buddies who I hadn't seen in a a little while, but we've texted recently, is my buddy Jody, a guitar fiddle slinger for Cody Johnson's band. Kojo, fiddle player, stage left, house right. Jody, he's had a kick-ass mullet last time I saw him. I don't know if he still does, but he's a bro of the road for sure. I want to wish him a happy birthday. I think he's turning 35, which it happens. Boom, boom, boom. It happens. I met him in his 20s, and now he's mid-30s. Crazy how that works. Crazy to think I started this when I was 20. That first year, first really getting in the business is a little fuzzy for me. It really is. I remember I think it was the end of 02 going into the beginning of 03, or it was the end of 01 going in the beginning of 02. I don't know. It's fuzzy. I need to go back and really trace that down. But I was 21, 22. I was 21 or 22 when I first met Wayne, and then literally the following week I went to Tuscaloosa to Harry's Bar and for an acoustic show, and it all began there. I didn't start out right then on the road every weekend, but it was I was working my schedule out, and I started being, I was there that one show the next weekend in Montgomery, and then the next week this, and then the next week I went on the full run, and then me and Wayne were in the truck coming to the Floribama to do our first shows, and it was on like a chicken bone after that. But it was somewhere around there. So early 20s, now here I'm in mid-40s. Been a great ride, done all kinds of cool stuff, met all kinds of cool people, memories. And just a neat experience, That's why part of this is to share that experience and clue people in on how things work and what's went down in the last 20-something years of my illustrious touring career, And everybody's got a story. I can't wait to have more and more of tour managers and backstage people and the people who really make country music work come on the show and tell their story with us as well. I know we've had some sad news last week. They say things come in threes, so I guess that held true last week as well, with unfortunately losing Ozzy Osbourne, who icon of music. Black Sabbath all the way to his solo stuff. And basically between he and this next one created modern family-driven reality television. And went on to do all that. Then the next one was Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo from the Huxtables Cosby Show. If you're a kid like me and grew up mostly in the 80s, Cosby Show was your jam. I watched it every time. It was great. Loved the Cosby Show. Sad, unfortunate accident with him on vacation, drowning, riptide, I believe is what they said. That's just awful. Young man, 50-something years old. Very sad, tragic. Love and prayers out to his family. And then the last one was the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. Hulk Hogan. If you say Hulk Hogan, everybody knows who you're talking about. Always have. He was so big when I was growing up, it changed the game. You got to think, 84, when he went on his first run as the champion in WWF, I was 5. That's prime. That's right when you start picking up what you like. So my aunt was a wrestling fan. I started watching wrestling. I probably went to my first match, I think it was 86 or 87 in Jackson, Mississippi. My granddad took me and my cousin Scott. Shout out Dr. Scott Martin, Jackson, Mississippi. Love you, Granddad. Thank you for always being there for us. But he took us down to the Coliseum, and we watched WWF wrestling was coming through town, and I was hooked from then on. I watched, they had the morning show, the cartoon, Saturday night main event. Wrestling was just absolutely exploding in the 80s, and the biggest catalyst to this, no matter what anyone says, maybe outside of Vince, obviously Vince was the mastermind, but he had to have a dance partner, and that was Hulk Hogan. Andre the Giant was a worldwide attraction before that, but the age of television and national exposure, the way things were transforming into the rocking wrestling era, Hulk Hogan was the guy. And there was no one else that could carry the flag like he did. He had the look, he had the jive, he had, picked up what he picked up from his heroes when he was coming up, like musicians do, like anybody does. You take the best parts from your influences to create your jam. He got a lot of his stuff from superstar Billy Graham and different characters like that throughout the years. So did Ric Flair, Nature Boy. So nothing wrong with that at all. I have no knock for taking stuff, as long as you give a little credit here and there, which I don't think he would ever had a problem doing that. But Hogan and Vince with WWE took over in the 80s, and it's now where it is now, that WrestleMania is as big as the Super Bowl every year. I mean, it takes over a city for a week like the Super Bowl does. And others have came and gone, things have happened, but WWE, Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon started something there that has gone on to last way longer than anyone thought and be bigger than anyone thought. Brought it to the heights like no other. Obviously, it needed help from, the next generation, Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Mick Foley, and then even on to today's world with, or then John Cena, and then today's world with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and that bunch. But it all started on a major level where everyone, not just wrestling fans, knew who people were. It all started right there with Hulk Hogan and the WWF, putting him on TV. It was huge. So 71 years old, way too young to lose the Hulkster. I know he was in a lot of pain. He had a lot of surgeries. I mean, if you saw him on anything, it was tough. But, you abuse your body like that, that's what happens. People say it's fake. He didn't look fake to me. 26 surgeries, there ain't nothing faking about that. So if you want to hear some really cool words on that, go check out my buddy Diamond Dallas Page Instagram account. He's got some cool things he's put up. I'm sure you guys have seen all those. So just want to get that. Give a shout out to Hulk and Ozzy and Theo. Rough week last week for us 80s babies. Actually, I was born in the 70s, but, grew up in the 80s. You know what I mean. Waiting on my guest today. No big rush. I'm always late, so I can't get mad if someone's late on me. And I'm not saying he's late. I just sent him the link 1 second before I jumped on. On this date, July 28th, I love this page here, this day in country music. July 28th, 1984, with his number one hit, Angel in Disguise, Earl Thomas Conley became the first artist in any genre to have 4 chart-topping songs from the same album. The album in question is Don't Make It Easy for Me, and in addition to Angel in Disguise and the title track, Conley also hit with 1983's Your Love's on the Line and Holding Her and Loving You. The feat was part of Conley's impressive 1980 streak where he enjoyed 16 number one hits through 1989. ETC, hitmaker, baby. Love that. Well, there was something else I wanted to make sure I mentioned this week before we started recording with our guest, but I'm having a tough time recalling it. Let's shout out some people I saw this past week, or just some things I've noticed. Let me just go to my phone here. This may be something to do. My boy, shout out to my boy Eason, Chad Bone Jones. You'll be listening to this. How about that video Eason sent us? My best friend from high school sends me a video yesterday and says, "Hey, I'm down in Miami golfing with some friends from Nashville, and watch me stroke this shot. I still got it." I may post this. I'm going to try to get to post this. Hopefully insert this video here. But he sends me a video of him. He's saying he's still got it, and I watched the video, and he absolutely gets up there, and it looks like $1 million. Beautiful day on a golf course, and he just whiffs that sucker, and it didn't make no bones about it. Just got right back up there, about to address the ball again, but just gets up there and whiffs at it. Great looking stroke, follow through all that, but just absolutely whiffed it. And me and my buddy Mater and Bones Jones, we laughed at that yesterday on that text. So I'm going to try to insert that there. Tell me if any of y'all ever pulled this move. Also want to give a shout out to my buddy Don Grisham. Saw him this past week in Dewey Beach. Love Big Don. Good to see he's doing well. We talked a little health and wellness, just part of it. You got to keep yourself up if you want to keep going. So we were talking about that. He's doing great. He looked great. He is helping out Tyler Kinch, which they opened the shows for us this weekend. Tyler is a fantastic country artist out of Arkansas, out of the Little Rock area, and Don helps him with some stuff. They were with us, and so it was great to see them. My boy Joey G, it was great to see him in Bethany this weekend as well. Austin Michael opened the show for us Saturday night in New York, and Austin's a good kid. He's young, but, man, he's a good kid, and he's got good stuff going on. Y'all look out for Austin Michael. Y'all go check him out on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. Austin Michael. He's got some good tunes. He's a Texas kid. He's young, but he's good. He's gonna make it happen, I think. I think he's got a chance for sure. So friends of my wife and I has hit us up about going to a Jamie Johnson concert in October in Louisiana. And, of course, it's on a day I've got a show. That's how it always happens. Love to go, though. If y'all get a chance, go to a Jamie Johnson concert. He's on fire right now. Shout out to my boy Mike Diamond. Y'all go to the Floor Bam and see Mike Diamond play on Monday afternoons. So good. He plays a lot of places a lot of times, but that's the Monday main room's his staple gig every week. If you're in the Floor Bam, if you're at the coast down here at the beach and need something to do on a Monday, go watch Mike Diamond and have you a bushwhacker. You won't. And if you like country music, especially classic country music done the right way, played and sang properly, go check out my boy Mike Diamond. Shout out to my boy Tiggy Brantley, Tig's Bits. We're going to try to cut an episode sometime soon. Tiggy and the Handler. We talked about the Hogan stuff the last time we did a podcast together and didn't know this was going to go down. Unfortunately, it did. But Bubba, the Love Sponge, was right. Something was going on, and no one was giving us the full details. Not sure if we'll ever get all the info, but I'm sure some will keep rolling out as it goes. Sad all the way around. Saw my boy Kurt Burdella from the Morning Hangover this weekend. Shout out to Kurt and John Reddy. It's good to see those guys. Was going to try to do a podcast while I was on the road this weekend, but couldn't get it done. I didn't have the right equipment. I mean, I had the equipment. I basically just didn't have my tripods and stuff I needed for the cameras, which was a bummer because I had our whole band and crew there on a day off. I could have just easily went and set up in a hotel room and cut a couple podcasts, but unfortunately wasn't able to do that because I didn't have everything I needed. But we'll get them on here. Like we're going to have Jeff on today. Jeff Oliver is going to be our guest today. I don't know if I mentioned that all the way through. I know I teased it a little bit earlier, but Jeff Oliver is our production manager and front of house mixer engineer, and he knows way more about the technical production side of this business than I will ever know. I don't even try. When it comes up to a technical question, I just say, you're going to have to advance that with Jeff, or let me get with Jeff and I'll get back to you because I'll mess it up. I know he knows what we got to have to get what done. So it's going to be fun catching up with him, maybe some insider stuff, a little behind the curtain, a little inside baseball, as they say. But y'all hang tight. We'll be right back here on the JR the Handler Show. Welcome back to the JR the Handler Show. Without any further ado, my guest today is my brother from the road who I've been working with hand in hand for the last 12 years, the best ear in the business, my brother, Jeff Oliver. How are you, brother?
Hey JR, good to be here. I'm doing good. It's been a busy day already. Another hot
Yeah,
one in the south.
no doubt. Yeah, I was actually, yeah, you were running a little behind. You had some stuff come up. I get it. And I was just making the best of my time. I've been doing that all morning. Got my road report done, going through some advanced stuff, answering emails from Joey and Cody, just a normal Monday. It doesn't end when the show's over for either one of us.
Oh no, production managers, tour managers, we're behind the scenes always on our computers, advancing stuff, making sure logistics are in place for the following weeks ahead. We got international travel, all that kind of stuff, making sure that everything runs smoothly on the road when
Yeah.
we're off the road.
Yeah. And literally you could, unless you make yourself stop, you could just keep going.
Yeah, and I've had to do that before. My girlfriend Corey and we've talked about that before. It's like I could sit and do this job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not think back, like not even stop and go, hey, wait, hold on, there's a family here. Like we have other priorities, so it's a balance, careful balance for sure.
It is because there's always another show to advance. I mean, and there's always something else you could check
Mhm.
on and double check on and make sure. And I mean, you just, and I've done that before where I would just have to, I'm like, I'm booking hotel rooms for next year. And I'm like, it's March, I'm like, just stop. Things will change. And, used to and I feel like this, I don't know, I'll let you comment on it. Before the pandemic, there was kind of a system where you either started advancing the show after it was confirmed and booked. Right after the show, someone may reach, or right after you book the show, it's confirmed, contract signed, all that. You might get someone reach out to you real quick. That's one option. Option two, it's usually months out, someone may reach out to you and you're like, well, this is way too early. I'm not even going to deal with this yet. We'll get back to you. But the normal sweet spot used to be 2 or 3 months out.
Absolutely.
You'd get everything ironed out 2 to 3 months out normally. And that was, if you didn't talk to somebody within a month out, you were a little concerned. You're like, what's up? Are they something wrong with this? But then after the pandemic happened, it got so wonky with show's going to happen, not going to happen. How is the show going to, what kind of show are we going to put on? Everything got scrambled. So we were advancing things a couple of weeks out at best sometimes. And I feel like now it's gotten more back to normal, but not all the way. I still feel like most of the time it's between a month and 2 months now is the average, and it could be even two or 3 weeks out, and that's not even that uncommon anymore.
Yeah, I'm having to chase down contacts now more than ever, chase down vendors and people. And, you know, COVID took out a lot of industry veterans. There was a lot of guys that were, whether it was companies or even just staff members and things like that, are about to retire, and they're like, maybe this is the time to go. And we lost a lot of pros during COVID, and now the people that are left, there's a lot of new faces, which is great. But there a lot of guys are just their books are 100% full, and they are scrambling to keep up. So like used to have people reach out to you, our contact info and stuff like that, or in riders, like it's all right there. You just send us an email, give us a phone call, and it's the other way around now. We're chasing down contacts, trying to get people, yeah, usually less than a month out. And it's nice to have everything done 2 months in advance, especially when you got to book hotels. These shows have been announced. They're fans are booking hotels in the area. We want to know about that beforehand so we can make sure our drivers and our people have our rooms, things like that. So it makes it a bit of a challenge for sure. It's getting better.
Yeah.
I think it is getting better. This year has felt the most normal so far with, at least in my world of advancing things and whatnot, but it definitely has changed since the pandemic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this year is probably the more normal, because other things involved in that we lost people and change of staffing in certain areas. The venue people, a lot of these people I'm dealing with now, it's not the venue person it used to be. It would be someone who was in charge of hospitality, and now they moved them up to there because the person that was in that spot retired or moved on or is doing something else. For the longest time there, we were having problems with catering. A lot of the catering companies had shuttered and were not doing this, or couldn't afford to do it and things like that, or wasn't showing up. It was hard to get catering. That's kind of gotten better, back to normal. Hotel rooms is still a weird thing. The pre-pandemic, you could get in your room if there were rooms available, around lunchtime. Nowadays, it doesn't matter. It's going to be when they tell you 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon before you can get a hotel room. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't understand that. Like, I know you start cleaning rooms at 6, 7, 8 in the morning. Like, how can we
I
have
wonder if
better
they're
communication with hospitality staff and managers to be like, hey, this block is now open. Like, can we release a few of these rooms to our drivers? And
I'm
uh,
wondering if and they say they'll always either tell you they're sold out the night before, which a lot of times I bust them on that because I fly in the night before. I'm staying at that same hotel, and I knew the parking lot was half full when I was there the night before. It was not sold out.
mhm. Yeah,
Or it's staffing on their end. A lot of change over there too. They don't have the hospitality staff, the cleanings crews, and things like that like they did. Maybe it's new people and they just can't get it done as efficiently, or just can't get people to work. That's the
yeah,
biggest thing. We'd have places where we'd go and I would talk to the promoter, and they had runners set up for the show, interviewed them, got them set up with everything they needed, and then just morning of the show, they just no show. And used to
sure.
that just didn't happen. You just did not show up to your gig. Hands, helpers on that end, same thing. It seems like more people, and it pays more than it did when we started, when we had to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I could.
Yeah, I see the labor bills. There's some decent rates out there these
Decent
days.
rates.
Yeah.
I used to do security for, I think it was 760, and maybe I got a 50-cent bump because I had my unarmed security license. So I got like 815. Was doing security
hmm
for CSC in Nashville back in the mid 2000s. They've all went up to attract people to come take these jobs. because that was a big one too. Security. I remember
Yeah.
coming out of the pandemic. We're somewhere West Virginia, somewhere like that. I'm bringing Justin to the stage, and part of our barricade security that's supposed to be watching the backstage area is filming Justin walking to the stage, and it's and I'm like, you got to make. So who's watching the crowd in the pinch point here where people could come through if you're filming us, but they had a complete turnover. A few of the managers were the only ones that were original. They were trying to get everybody up to speed. And I think a lot of that, everything is getting back up to speed. Everything's kind of balancing out. It's still a little wonky, but it's coming back. And, it was such a big deal. Drivers, there's another one, bus drivers, truck drivers, that stuff. I mean, the big turnover on that. There used to be tons of bus drivers and buses, and now they're all in short supply.
Yep. Got a couple of acquisitions over the past couple of years where it's turned into just a few major players now, as opposed to having a few more competition wise. But yeah, I mean yeah, finding drivers. Why I picked up my CDL years ago. It's like, well, if I'm already on this bus, I might as well just co-drive it as well. Do co-driving with our main bus driver. It's just easier on my end, not having to search for as many drivers too.
Right.
Yeah, and we were getting some real interesting ones,
Yeah.
here and there. So it's like, if my main driver can't get any sleep at night, the purpose of this co-driver is almost useless.
Exactly.
So
And usually
that's when
it's
Robbie
not.
was like, get it.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense and usually you're not having to drive a long haul either. It's usually a couple 100 miles at best just to help
Yeah,
out the main driver.
just to get where we're going. Yeah. Routing's key these days, but we bounce all over the place sometimes, and yeah, you need our code. I mean, Justin's bus alone, Justin's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's got a team with him every time just to get him where he needs to go.
Yeah, two drivers at all times, and yeah, just have to
Yep.
because you
Yep.
just never know. And he's coming from Arkansas and not Nashville. Nashville, like you said, the consolidation and the acquisitions there in Nashville, that was across the board. Big money moving into Nashville. You're still there. You're on the east side of Nashville, aren't you?
I'm tucked away. Yeah, I'm out by I live right next to a Boy Scout reservation, which is 1,000 acres of land that's leased from the state for like $1 or something. But
Nice.
yeah, it's all wooded and it's nice. It's outside of the city and it's quiet and
Yeah.
no riffraff comes out here.
Right. Yeah. You're
You're
fairly isolated out there, and yeah, it's beautiful. I've been to your house before. You got a great place, great yard. You got a nice compound. Jeff's got a compound.
yeah.
He's one of those one
I
of
lucked
everything
out.
too. Jeff's got everything he needs at his house to do anything he needs to do.
Yeah. We got some good redneck neighbors. We'll shoot first, ask questions later,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's
Perfect.
safe out here. It's wonderful.
It's
But
wonderful.
yeah, the city's blown up. Nashville is a whole new animal, and I've been here for 15 years now. So seen it when I first moved in. It was right when that TV show Nashville was getting hot, and Nashville still had that small town feel, even though it was a major city. And nowadays, it's like it feels like Atlanta or LA, especially with the traffic and um it's wild the amount of skyscrapers we have downtown, the new Titan Stadium going up, big land acquisitions around there for corporate players. They're building campuses and yeah, it has its benefits. There's good food. There's amazing restaurants. There's um
Plenty of activities.
yeah,
Anything you could think of
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Anything you could think to do.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to? I don't, but who doesn't want to come into town and see Broadway and all that stuff? And
Yeah.
we always do that. That's when the family comes in. You always, or your friends are like, "Well, go down to Broadway." I'm like, "All right, I'll do that once or twice a year."
Yeah. For
But
sure.
there's plenty of music down there, and yeah, all the food and all that too. It's a bustling city
Y'all
for
got Top
sure.
Golf now too, right?
Yeah, there's a Top Golf right over by Soundcheck.
Sound check, that's right. Yeah, it
Yeah,
used to
it
be
has its own
nothing over
venue.
there. That was all just
No,
like
just
ratty little
industrial.
storage
Yeah,
industrial area.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, always had good bowling alleys. Like you said, food. Nashville has
Hmm.
always had good food. It's got a wide variety of people from all over the world that live there. So you got some really nice pockets of good food. And
Yep,
I'm sure a lot of that's still there on the outskirts. But downtown is like Vegas. It's all, I mean, it's
it's
super
Vegas.
expensive and I mean, that's a whole nother thing. And people now probably couldn't imagine, like when we were in Nashville early on, that you could just park in front of the bars on
Yeah,
Broadway,
park
and
on Broadway
it
or
may not
inside.
even be that busy of a night. Some nights were just kind of dead. I mean, there were people partying and drinking, but it wasn't like crazy. I mean,
Oh,
regularly
you
it would
thought
be
you were
like that.
VIP when you could park on Broadway and walk right into Tootsie's. You're like, look at
Yeah,
me, I got to park outside. This is
yeah,
awesome. No, you don't. You can barely drive down Broadway anymore. And I heard a lot of the musicians too, because they used to park around there for cheap or next to free,
yep,
and,
yep.
lug their gear in. Now they can't even do that anymore.
I remember
There's no free parking downtown
no
anymore.
anywhere.
Even
No,
the street parking's paid.
I know. I remember the first time I got a ticket for a van and trailer down there doing a gig, and I'm like, "Well, we're playing the gig." And they're like, "Oh, sorry, you got to put the thing." And I'm like, "We have never. I've played gigs here forever. Never had to deal with this." I was like, "It's a musician. It's fine." But and I knew then it
Yeah.
was downhill, and that was right after like '08, '09, 10, somewhere there, because '08 when the market crashed, everything they were building they were starting to do some stuff before that, and it all halted. So they had they had plenty of cheap places to live.
Hmm.
And then when like you said, when that show came out and people started talking, a few celebrities were in town, and people would talk about living down in Franklin and this and that. And it made it a couple of shows and a couple of different. Then they had some renovation shows or some stuff. You had a few things. Then you had American Pickers show up, and then it was over.
Yep.
It was over.
They blew up. My first place when I moved to Nashville, I rented a guest house on the west side of town. It was like in the bottom part of like a converted barn on this beautiful piece of property. And it was like $500 a month rent. It
Yeah,
was nice. It was like a
yeah.
single bedroom with a living room and all that, kitchen, bathroom. It was a nice little guest house, $500, great. You could barely find a place to be even a roommate these days for $500. You're
I know
talking that same property would rent for $1,500 nowadays at
that
least. Like,
that house I had in Whites Creek was $600 a month.
yeah.
It was on an acre
And
in a turn of the century farmhouse
yeah.
for
Someone
five
to rent
six
that
hundred
house
bucks.
now, it'd be $2,000 a
Yeah,
month
I
easily.
remember a girl that I knew was in pharmaceuticals or something, and she a friend of a friend, and I remember her. She had moved to town and was renting a place like above Printer's Alley.
Hmm.
And I want to say she said she was paying like $1,200 a month or something, and we thought, "Good Lord, that's so much money." I
Like
mean, how nice does that have to be to cost $1,200 or $1,400, whatever it was? You think, and that's nothing. That will get you maybe a single bedroom apartment in not so good part of town.
outside of town, yeah,
Yeah,
like maybe like in an old apartment building or something like that, maybe.
yeah. It's wild. It's wild. But it moves on. Nothing we can do about it. They call it progress, but I just don't know. Well, man, I'm glad you came on the show today, Jeff. I don't know if you've heard any of the ones we've had lately. We've had a lot of our friends that on the show. I had Justin David last week,
Oh yeah.
who's fiddle player for Colt all those years, and
Hmm.
I've had on Gossett and Gallagher.
Legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
legend.
Another legend.
Legend. I've had on Chris Tate. I've had on some of our friends. It's been a lot of fun. This is episode 13, and I wanted to have some different. I've had a lot of tour managers on, but I wanted to have some different perspectives. I've been wanting to get you and Alyssa both to come on, tell y'all's story
Hmm.
because of y'all's roles in our organization. I want to get everybody in our team for sure, and some different things like that. So I want to talk about some of that in a while about the actual nuts and bolts of what you do as a job. But before we get there, let's go back to how you got to where you're at. And I told you before,
Ooh.
right when we popped up, I was playing some Rat Pack music to get warmed up because you and I both love some Rat Pack music, and you've actually worked with the touring troupe, the Rat Pack. And you grew up in Ohio. And how did you go from a little boy in Ohio to becoming a veteran production manager in country music based out of Nashville, Tennessee? And when I said the best ear in the business, I wasn't lying, brother. I'm not just tooting your horn because we're on the show, but I've told you multiple times, I go to a concert of somebody else's and I'll listen for a minute and I'm like, I wish Jeff was mixing because I know whatever the issue was, you wouldn't have that issue. You would fix that issue. So I hold you in very high regard. I do think you do have the best ear in the business. But how did it all come to be? I mean, how did this happen? Did you play music? Did your folks play music? Did you just love the radio?
My grandma dabbled a little bit. Now this doesn't really, I don't know if it piqued my interest in music or not, but it definitely got me interested. My grandma and grandpa, they had um, a single story house up in Toledo, Ohio, or in Maumee, technically, where we grew up. And like so back in the old days in the 50s and whatnot, they had like a basement where they'd have parties. And she had a a upright piano down there that I used to play on, and I always took interest in it as a kid. My mom put me through some piano lessons, and but it was classical piano and reading sheet music, and I'm like, oh man, like I could never keep up on the sheet music, but I could figure stuff out by my hands. I could hear a song and try to work it out. So I got into music then, and I never pursued the piano career much. I should get a piano or a keyboard at least for the house to dabble in. Maybe we'll have one for sale, and I'll pick one up because it is fun.
Yeah.
Um, but I enjoyed music back then. I've always enjoyed listening to music. My grandma used to put on like she had her little RCA Victor. It was an automatic 45 record player. So she had all these racks of 45s, and they had this record player downstairs, and you'd load them up top, and it would drop them one by one. It'd automatically play it and drop another one. So all the Elvis records, if you ever asked her like her family, like, where are you, Elvis or the Beatles? She was definitely Elvis.
Gotcha.
So she had a lot of Elvis stuff and some big band and jazz. And my mom had some really good records and stuff too growing up. She still has them to this day.
That's neat.
So
People. I mean,
yeah,
imagine that, guys. That our era had CD changers.
yeah,
We were the first generation to have CD changers, and now you've got everything on shuffle. But back then, y'all, it's a record player with 45s. I've got a stack of them over there. 45s on an automatic thing where it would drop them and play them, and that was your
yeah. They're like
continuous.
singles. There's one on each side. That was
One on
it.
it, one song on each side of this
Yep,
record, y'all. That's how, for the young audience out there. That's how that was your playlist. That's how you had a party. You picked out what records you wanted in these slots and then let it
yep.
go. And that was top of the line, because if you didn't have that, you just got to one song,
One
change one
one
song.
by one. Yeah, like I thought that was the coolest thing was this
It
mechanical
was,
drive record
yeah.
player that had these little teeth that would drop a record on it. Like, it worked really good. So yeah, they used to throw parties in the basement and stuff like that, and they had a wet bar down there and a pool table, and that's what people did back in the day. So I was
Yep.
playing the piano when I was a kid, and I really owe it to my high school guidance counselor though, because so I went to St. John's Jesuit high school, shirt and tie every day, chapel on Fridays, kind of thing. Um, and they had good guidance counselors and counselors there. And I remember having a meeting one day, like, what do you like to do? And our high school had a TV station in it. We did like a little morning show every day for everybody in all the classes and stuff. We used to DJ music in the morning as people were coming in. It was kind of a cool vibe. So I took interest in helping those guys out in the electronics aspect of that. I've always been deep into electronics, and music. And so she took these things I said I like to do, and she's like, our theater program in the high school needs some help, like technically. She's like, they need help with lights and sound, like building the sets and stuff. I'm like, huh, I never thought about that. The only thing I really knew of theater was my mom used to take me to shows in Toledo, or we used to do music under the stars at the Toledo Zoo. Actually, that show we did, the amphitheater,
Yep.
was it last fall? That old amphitheater. We used to go there, my mom and I, and watch the Toledo Symphony play different themed nights. Like they might do a John Williams themed night, or maybe like a Count Basie night or something like that. In that old orchestra shell there. And it was really,
Wow.
really cool. At night,
Yeah.
stars out and some lights on. It was super cool. So the guidance counselor was like, why don't you help? They need some help with people building sets and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll try that out. Introduced me to the people. And we had a little theater in our high school. It was just a high school auditorium, nothing fancy by any means. Um, but our high school had some good donors. And so once a year, they did a couple shows. I think they did like a straight play, and then they would do a musical every year. Well, for the musical, they would rent out a theater in town. And it was called the Valentine. It was a little 900 seat theater downtown Toledo. It was beautiful, like ornate gold and red velvet. This little theater, and they put the money towards that. So I quickly learned by helping out in our theater program, building sets and things, that hey, we're not actually doing shows here. We'll do a straight play here, but the musical is going to be downtown. So I fell in love with it, and carpentry skills and all that kind of like normal guy stuff. Like, oh yeah, I could build things. I could build these boxes and stuff like that, and give me a
Right.
screw gun, a staple gun, and all that. So did it through high school. Got to get out of class sometimes for it and go downtown and work in the theater. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then the union guys at that theater were like, I forget what show we were doing. Can't remember what musical it was, but I'm still really young, so I'm like, I'm not really mixing the show yet. But the union sound guy there
What
was
year
like,
is this? How old would you have been
this
at this
is
point?
This was what, like 2001, 2002. So I'm like 17 years old,
So you're a
18 years old,
junior in high school.
junior and senior in high school. I think this is probably my senior year, probably 18.
Okay.
So 2002. Um, and the sound guy there's like, hey man, if you want to mix this show, like I'm just gonna sit back here and take a nap or something. He's like, you look like you know what you're doing. I'm like, I'll figure it out. He had it mostly set up, but it was still analog desk days. We had, some wireless mics on the actors and had some a CD player that had queuing capabilities to queue up sound effects and stuff for the show. I wish I could remember what show it was, but he just let me have it. And so I think we did maybe like 4 or 5 performances. After rehearsals and all that. And I don't know, I fell in love with them. Like, oh, this is great. So my guidance counselor's like, oh, you seem like you enjoy this. And we would have regular meetings with our guidance counselors, which was a really cool hearing what kids don't get these days and stuff like that. I thought that was,
I had zero of that. I had,
yeah,
and
like,
bless our guidance counselor. She was a sweet lady, but absolutely no help at all in any guidance for anything I did. And maybe I wasn't receptive to it, and I probably wasn't. But I can remember I went and got a book off of the shelf in her office that had the unit colleges and just went to Troy because of
hmm
just randomly, basically. But no, not that. So that would have been a great advantage to have for anybody. And I
yeah.
don't think I doubt kids are getting it now.
Yeah, I don't think they are. And now, I didn't see the value of it in the time at all. But looking back now, 20 some years later, I'm like, wow, she really did push me into the career I liked. Like, I mean, obviously it's developed over the years too, of like not just the theater side of things that we'll get
Right.
into, like in more into music, but like she figured out the spark and pushed me in that right direction. So we looked into colleges. She's like, "Where do you want to go to college?" I'm like, "I haven't really thought of it." She's like, "All right, here's your options. These are there was North Carolina School of the Arts, which was outside of Ohio, which is very expensive as out of state because like you get no assistance at all at that point.
Right.
We were not rich by any means. Or there was a college in Ohio called Wright State University down in Dayton, Ohio, which was in state, which was great. Get all the tuition's way cheaper.
Yep.
And they were still at the time, I think, the number three like theatrical college in the nation. And they had a really good tech theater program, not just a an acting side or a dance side, but the technical theater was top notch.
That's
Um,
perfect.
so yeah, went down, toured it. We pretty much my mom and I decided, like, yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. Went to college there. Did the college thing, learned all the things about life on your own down there, which was wonderful. Lived in the dorms for a couple years, had some wild roommates. Then I think it was by junior year. We took over our theater program, had a house in a trashier side of town that was
Yeah.
cheap rent. I mean, even then, that rent for that house, I think was like $500 for this huge house.
Right.
But it was an old vacuum store in like downtown Dayton that like tall ceilings, like the bottom used to be like the storefront and the workspace and all that. And the upstairs was the living quarters. Well, eventually they converted it into both upstairs and downstairs being living quarters. So people in the tech theater program always rented this house for years and years from this old lady, and she was super sweet. It wasn't anything fancy, but ton of room. Kegerator in the kitchen, multiple fridges, like big rooms. We had a trampoline in the one room in the front. Like it was the
Yeah.
ceilings were that tall. We literally built a trampoline in the room. Um, it was wild. It was a good time. So lived in that house for a couple years. Went to college, learning about theater. Fell in love with theater. Theater was great. The straight plays didn't interest me as much because being a sound engineer, I really enjoyed the music aspect of it, mixing
Right.
an orchestra together, things like that. So and the energy that comes from musicals, the emotional changes that you have as you watch a show and fall in love with the characters, or there's a conflict and the music changes and all this kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Um, Living in Dayton, got in with the union there, local 66 out of Dayton, Ohio. Paid for a lot of my college by working as a stagehand. Our university arena there, the Nutter Center, was host multiple times of the year to Monday Night Raw, or some of the other WWE or at the time WWF events.
Right.
And I could always get a show call out of it. So it'd be a load in, a show call, and a load out. You can make a few, $400, $500 a day, um, uh, working these shows and concerts too. We had a lot of concerts that came through town. Dayton was a is a very like artsy city. There's a lot of art there, whether
Yeah.
it's theater, music, all kinds of stuff comes through there, and it's kind of nice to see. Versus Nashville doesn't have as much of that theater community. But I have to tell, since we both were growing up on wrestling, I'll never forget this. And you guys remember the guy's name? Who was that really big wrestler? He was huge. He's like 400 or 500 pounds. Let me see if I can look his name
Which
up real quick.
it wasn't um Humphrey.
No,
Was he what era?
shoot.
No, that would have been earlier than that. Not Bam Bam Bigelow, not King Kong Bundy,
No, what? Oh, hold on.
Yokozuna.
Oh,
Trying to think. So that would have been
Sean
2000.
Henry? Was it Sean Henry?
John Henry.
Was it John
I
Henry?
mean, Mark Henry,
Mark Henry,
the
yes.
world's strongest man. Oh yeah,
Yes. He
he's huge.
was he was on one of the nights. I remember, I'll never forget this because I thought my life was going to end that night. So, and I think it was like a Monday Night Raw or something like that. It was the first time I ever do it. And like when if your steward comes up to you and wants to give you a new job, like I've done spotlights and stuff. I used to love running spotlights for concerts, but he's like, "Hey, I need you to do cable paging tonight." I'm like, "Oh, what does that involve?" He's like, "Well, you're gonna page cable in back and forth for the ringside cameras, and you're gonna be tucked in around the ring." I'm like, "Ooh, that sounds like fun." I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
like I'll do it, whatever. Like I'm a
that's those guys
little
you see. Somebody's got to do that job when you're watching
someone's
wrestling. You
a
see the
lot
guy
of days
behind the
nowadays
camera.
they're yeah, paging cable. Like if they're still doing a lot of it's wireless, I think now. Back then it was all you had to page that cable. So if that
Hey, if you
cameraman
go,
takes off, you got to be able to,
yeah,
yeah,
to feed him, and then when he's backing
hmm
up, you don't need just random cables wrapped around everybody's feet. That's
right,
like if you ever watch the documentary of the Festival Express, the big rock concert after Woodstock that goes across Canada.
hmm
Buddy Guy is on that, and when Buddy Guy's playing his set, he has a cable page. Basically, has got his instrument cable because he must have a 300-foot instrument cable, and he's
oh
following him.
yeah,
He goes out in the crowd off this big stage and all this stuff, and there's his buddy behind him, just keeping that cable going. And every now and then when they stop, he's got a bottle of brown. He's got a brown paper bag, and he gets him a little nip, puts it back, goes back out with the
yeah,
cable. But he's following around. You got to have somebody to do that if it's not wireless. And Buddy Guy and a lot of those old rockers, they didn't trust wireless, so they wanted a cable. They wanted to be connected,
yeah.
But so anyway, so you're running as a cable
I'm
page.
sitting in a corner of outside the ring, like where the announcers are and stuff. There's corners where we usually stay out of shots, and you just have a spool of cable, and you're spooling it out. And so I'm like trying to watch what's going on. Most of the time, I got my eye on the cameraman because I want to
Right.
see how much he needs. If he's got too much, I got to quickly coil that back up and bring it back in. And I wasn't watching what was going on in the ring. I'm trying to remember who was wrestling him that night. But anyway, Henry ends up coming over the ropes at me, like right into the corner as a look to kind of bounce off or like probably smash into these walls right here. And I have no idea it's coming at me until I already see him like coming over the air. And I grab the cable and like I hug the cable and I rolled out of the way and he comes crashing in above me. Somewhere there might be. I don't know if it ever got caught on camera. We tried to
I wish
find
we
it,
could
but
find that on
we didn't have the
video.
technology at the time to like dig through that stuff. But I would love to find that of this guy in blacks paging cable, like rolling out of the way so he doesn't get crushed by this guy. I mean, Henry had to weigh what? He had to have been 400 pounds,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think.
Oh yeah.
He's
He was huge.
huge.
Huge. He's just like a
So
bulldozer. I mean, he was the
yeah,
world's strongest man. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man. So
Yeah, I
I'll
wonder
never
if we
forget
could
that. That
find.
was
We need to go one night when we were on the bus on a long run. We need to get the WWE network pulled up. I think it's on Peacock now, and go
do
through
they
there and
have all that
find that.
stuff archived?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. If
Yeah.
we can figure out what the date was, we could probably get close to
We
it, and
know the
maybe find it.
location. So yeah.
And we know what match we're looking for something with John or Mark Henry in it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
would love to find that.
that
I'll
would
never
be
forget that
hilarious.
night. Um, one more funny story at the Nutter Center. Running Spotlight there, doing Green Day. This is probably like 2004, 2005. Lead singer gets laryngitis. We cancel the show after we loaded the whole thing in. They come back at the end of the tour to redo the show. We get the call again. I'm on Spotlight for the show. I can't remember the LD's name. He's a British guy. Uh, but he warns us. He's like, gents, like tonight we're gonna blast off all the extra pyro tonight. So he's like, I'm gonna tell you about the shots I know about, but there's gonna be a bunch more that I don't know about. And we had to kick on the exhaust fans in this place because I couldn't we our spotlights we could not see our players anymore. And we had telrads, which are basically like I had a scope that was kind of custom made. It was like old gun scope that you could clamp on the side of the spotlight, and it had crosshairs in it. You could look in like if because we had you had to snap onto people. Like you couldn't spotlight operators these days, like we see in our shows, they're all over the place. Like they don't rarely do you see guys carrying around telerads or scopes anymore. Like it's a lost art. It's really sad
Yeah.
because we had to hit guys in the dark. You had
Yeah.
to be ready to like if the LD called for a snap on, you had to be on your player and boom, white light on them like
Right.
immediately in the dark.
Ain't no
Uh,
fishing around finding them.
no, no. So we prided ourselves in that, and I mean, we took our jobs really seriously doing that stuff. But you're shooting like 300 feet from a back in arena in a post somewhere, and it was
Yeah.
so smoky in this place. But I remember, I think I was on either the lead singer or the bass player. The only way I could keep tabs on them through the smoke was he had white shoes on, he had white trainers, and as long as I remember that I could. In my scope that I could barely see through with all the smoke, I could keep. If I saw the white feet in the bottom of it, I knew if I opened up on him and I could hit him for the cues. It was ridiculous.
That's amazing. Yeah, Billy Joe Armstrong, the front man for Green Day.
Yep.
I bet that was him. I did security at Bridgestone for them around the same era, probably '06,
Hmm.
'07, right after that, somewhere in there. And another shoe incident with them. So before the show, they got the lights on during intermission. They hit the lights on, and everybody's filling in after the opener. And there's this big bunny, somebody in a big bunny suit, a big pink bunny suit comes out with like crosses over its eyes, and he's just
Okay.
kind of acting like a drunk bunny basically, and he's kind of waving at the crowd, just standing on the stage and just doing this little antics. Well, same thing. He had white shoes on, and then he goes away. A couple minutes later, music hits, intro. Here comes Green Day. Same shoes on Billy Joe Armstrong, the front
Billy
man,
and
as the
them.
as the
Yep.
rabbit had on. He went out there as the rabbit earlier, having a beer and checking on the
Just taunt the
crowd.
audience.
Yeah, and then came back. But it was the shoes that gave him away, just like you used the shoes to pinpoint him to hit him
Yeah.
with the
That was
spot.
the only way I could keep an eye on him. Man, it was that was yeah, and like then of course like you're getting when you know about a pyro hit, whether it's a concussion or something like that, you can anticipate it. And you know,
It
small
still
movements and
gets you a little
spotlights.
bit.
Oh, yeah, but the ones you don't know, and then you're these small movements in a spotlight really far away, like you move an inch, that moves the spotlight 5 feet on stage.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're getting jolted by these ones that you don't know about, and their lights are all over the place. It was ridiculous. There was so much pyro shot off that night. I don't know how they got signed off
And
to do
you're up
that,
in the
but
rafters at a post,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
there's the smoke's all accumulating up there by you guys.
Or here's a fun one too, since we both liked wrestling. Truss spots on wrestling is the most wild job today with pyro and stuff on. These guys go up before they open doors. They're climbing up into the trusses above the stage in fire suits, sitting in a basically a race car seat that's strapped to the trusses with a light on them, and they're up there the entire show. I remember running truss spots for wrestling. And there'd be like flames coming up right underneath you. You just feel this heat come past you, and you're like, this is
This
wild.
is insane. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and and,
yeah.
and pyro and things, concussion
Shooting
stuff
off around
shooting.
you, and you're like,
Yeah.
I trust these guys, right? I do. They're all certified. Yeah.
Not
But
to
yeah,
mention you're up
yeah,
there in a fire suit. It's hot. You got to pee. I mean, it
yep.
could
Yeah,
be
you got to go to
uncomfortable.
the bathroom right before you go up. Like you can only drink so much water while you're up there. Like know your limits. It's
God,
yeah,
trying to sneak in a cig when you can. At least you could get away with that up
yeah.
there. I could probably burn
Yeah,
one while
that
I'm up
was
there, maybe.
pre-vape days for sure. Yeah, none of that
Yeah.
existed.
Oh
Those are
man.
wild times. I worked a lot of wrestling during college. That was a staple in Dayton.
Yeah.
And concerts too. We did all the concerts. We had remember the Phrase Pavilion we played at. That was
Yep.
we called that summer camp. The lighting company I worked for in town there. Uh, brought a lot of its staff there for the whole summer season. So got a lot of practice running spotlights out there. That's where I got my first run at like concert sound. Like normal band sound versus like orchestras and theater was working out there at the Phrase with James and Todd and these guys. Other legends in the business locally up there.
Yeah.
James now teaches at my college that I went to college at, and another Todd's running that production sound company up there now too. So yeah, got a lot of practice cutting my teeth in those venues. But we had great shows. All the classic rock acts came through. The Journey, Foreigner.
Yeah.
Foreigner had six spotlights, all synchronized. We had the LD was amazing. It was all par cans and stuff, and all ink like conventional lights, no moving lights in that show. but a lot of the art was done with spotlights in that show. So the LD would be like spot 1 and 6, you're going to snap to blue on my call, stand by and go. Those spots snap to blue on this, on this downbeat of this song or this thing. Those two guitar players go to blue light, like really cool stuff, all called by like legend LDs that
Wow.
just a whole different world compared to what we're in now with like intelligent lighting and really programmed shows. But fun, like these classic rock bands and all this stuff were just amazing to see and experience.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. Well, and
Yeah.
two,
So I worked.
that gives you a baseline. Mention this before we go on, but that gives you a baseline to everything that you do as a production manager. That makes you a great production manager because you've done multiple jobs, not just one role.
That's a great point. Yep. If
You
you want to
know,
be a production manager in this business, you need to know, you don't need to be an expert in all the departments, but you need to know how all the departments work, what
yep.
they require, the timing they require, how the gear works, what kind of hangups you're going to have when it comes to rigging and things like that. When we did our last set in 2020 when we shut down, like very complicated set, a lot of rigging that had to happen, a lot of scenic components needed to go in place before we could set band gear and stuff like that up. Yeah, being a production manager that's well versed in all the departments will make you excellent at your job. Know all of them.
I say that about being a tour manager as well. You can start in any different place. The same with being a
Hmm.
production manager. You could start at any different position under that umbrella, but it's best to know a little about all of it. It's like me. I started with merch, but I've worked with management, and I know just a little about production. I can hack away a little at that, and a little of all of it. Being able to know what the other jobs do gives you a better understanding, and you can have compassion or know when to hammer down when someone's not doing something. You're like, well, this is that's not how it's done, or this is the way we need it done.
Hmm.
And,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah, it makes you more well-rounded. I say that like it's the same thing like being an athlete. It's good to be growing up. You need to play all the sports and then pick the one later on that you want to really succeed at.
Yeah, look at Jordan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Baseball. I mean,
perfect
it's good.
example of it.
Most all great ball players played multiple sports, and then
Hmm.
it keeps you well rounded. It's just good to be well rounded, and you
Yep.
can excel that way. Well, how did that go from multiple jobs and to start honing it down to running front of house, which is your forte outside of being a production manager, or did you go to
Yep.
monitors? How did that path go?
Kind of. So the lighting company I worked at, the Light Fantastic in Dayton, Ohio, um, would get some tours in. One of their bread and butters was Stomp for years and years. I guarantee there's listeners out there or viewers out there that have seen Stomp, whether you went and saw them in grade school at one point in time, but the guys that bang on all the trash cans and everything. That show still exists to this day. It's probably one of the most long. It has to be one of the longest running
Has to
tours,
be.
maybe outside of Cats.
Yeah.
Um, so got to do some work with them, filling in when one of the other guys, Country, God rest his soul, couldn't make something, or we would leapfrog rigs a lot of the time around. We would have straight trucks, and we would leapfrog rigs across the country because we were doing theater shows with them, and Stomp did not have room in their truck for the lighting rig. Did some work with Stomp, and then they got a tour in called the Rat Pack Live at the Sands. And we're like, oh, like that sounds cool. They needed a intelligent light programmer, someone that knew Hog 2, the one of the moving light consoles at the time. They needed someone on that tour that could handle hanging the lighting rig, and then also knew that console in case there were anything ever to happen. Because at that time, that international tour that came over from the show came from England, from London, the West End. It was a impersonators. So Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, impersonators, and then they carried a couple principal guys for the band, and then they would hire in the rest of the union big band, union players, whatever town we were in. So if anybody listens to it, if you listen to the Rat Pack Live at the Sands, and it's on Spotify and everywhere else. There's also that's the album Live at the Sands with Sinatra with the Count Basie Orchestra is what a lot of the show is based off of. Um, it's phenomenal stuff. But they needed yeah, there it is.
That's what I was
Get
listening
that
to before
album.
you got.
You can't go wrong with that stuff. The Count Basie and those guys are just it's unreal big band music. Um, so you need a guy that had those skills. No one in the lighting shop at the time knew Hog 2 except me. Uh, Meanwhile, I'm still like finishing up some college, but the timing worked out great. So they took the tour. They said, "Hey, this is gonna be your first tour ever." I'm like, all right, great. So I love it. Love the sound of it. We started in San Antonio, Texas, at the Majestic. pretty basic. A few trusses of moving lights, a lot of conventionals too, a lot of plexiglass big band stage with some uplighting in, a very classy kind of thing. Big band on deck, grand piano there as well. Yeah, and it's a couple scenic components, things like that. Um, Most of the people on the tour were from England. End up meeting some great guys there. The dark, dry humor from those individuals, I'll never forget. Dave Burrows was the front of house guy at the time. David Lamb was one of the LDs over the course of the time of the film Lambo. He was phenomenal. Just great English guys. Uh, Eventually, they need some fill in for audio when Dave couldn't make it, so I got to jump into the hot seat on that tour. Midas Heritage 3K, all analog gear, so great microphones, great players on stage, analog consoles. We were carrying Meyer PA, just
Sounded amazing, I bet.
got godly good sound. Like in all these songs, with these players that can hit these solos and stuff, and they carry, like I said, they carried a few key roles, like your lead horn player, lead trumpet player, those guys that could stab those like triple octaves and stuff like that for these
Wow.
endings of these songs. It was really well done. The sonata, my grandma came and saw the show before she passed and said that the our Sinatra. She's like, I would never be able to tell the difference. I've seen the real show in Vegas when I was younger. She's like, this guy's spot on. His name's Stephen Triffett. He still does some Sinatra work these days. Just great guys. So yeah,
Wow.
did Rat Pack that a tour with that for we did it for years in the fall and winter. That was when theater tours, fall, winter, and then into spring a little bit. Then did the summertime stuff at the Phrase. That was my cycle of a year for a few years there. Until eventually I was like, I remember one of my professors, Matt Benjamin at college, said, get out of Dayton. He's like, you can go to school here, you can work it for a little bit, but don't live here. Like, don't stay here. You got to get out. I'm like, all right, I got to get out of this town because Dayton's, I mean, it is what it is, but it's Ohio. It's all right, but
Yeah. Well, you just
I
need to
need
go
to
see some
experience.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm touring around now. I'm seeing these other cities. I'm like, wow, like I need to like, oh, where's my next move going to be? And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, where am I going to tour music out? Because I really want to get into music after working at the Phrase and seeing a lot of these bands, some of these legend bands I loved over the years. I'm like, all right, well, it's either going to be like New York, LA, Atlanta, or Nashville. I'm like, I won't get into the politics of why I don't want to be in some of those cities. I don't want to live around a bunch of concrete anyway. I like nature. I want some trees around. I have a motorcycle. I like riding. I like the mountains. I like camping,
Yes.
fishing. So
Yes.
that leaves out, yeah,
Yeah, New York's just way too much. Cali's just way too far out there and it's
yeah,
too much too. And then Atlanta, but and this was my observation. Atlanta's a lot like Nashville, and when I was thinking about this kind of the same thing, looking at both cities, Nashville was just a smaller version of Atlanta where it didn't have the traffic. Like you still had all the
yeah,
fun things you could get in Atlanta, except for 7 lanes
exactly.
of traffic. So,
Yep.
because it's
And now
Atlanta's
we got
beautiful. I
seven
love
lanes of
Atlanta.
traffic.
Yeah, but now it caught up.
Yeah.
I know. I've been telling that story a lot lately because I used to tell people when I first moved there, people back home would say, "How's Nashville?" I'm like, "It's kind of like Atlanta except without the traffic." I'm like, "You can get sushi at midnight. You can go to a concert every night of the week. I mean, anything you could want, any kind of food you want.
Hmm.
But it's not too bad. 30 minutes, you can get from one side of town to the other without a problem." And now that's over.
Yeah. Yeah. So I chose Nashville. I started putting my resume out at places, and one of the guys that immediately picked me up was Sound Image out of Nashville. Everett Leibolt gave me a call back pretty quick, and he's like, "Do you want to come down here and have an interview with us?" I'm like, "Wow!" I'm like, "All right, major sound company wants to interview me. Like, I will be there tomorrow. Like, sounds great." Drove down to Nashville from Dayton, which was probably like I think it's like a 5 hour drive. Not terrible, but so I come down there, meet him, Everett, and another legend in the business, Mike Adams. Also, God rest his soul. We've lost Mike. Those two interviewed me and just gave me a rundown of what I knew as far as sound and whatnot. They're like, "All right, we're gonna put you out as we need a monitor engineer for this band called the Band Perry." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "When does it start?" And I think it started probably in like a week or two after that. I'm like, cool. I'm like, I don't even live down here. I'm like, they're like, you can meet bus call. You can just drive down to bus call and go from there. And you're going to take over. I don't know if they remember if we built stuff. We didn't quite have much of a tour built yet. So I came down to the shop and built. I mean, we're carrying small stuff. We were in a bus trailer. So it's just some microphones. And I think I had a small analog Allen and Heath console and some Sennheiser ears. Nothing fancy at all, small stuff. Um, Built the show. Like I used to drive down from Dayton to Nashville for the first. month or two of that tour, meet the bus. We used to meet at the Kroger in Hermitage, and I would get down there early. And like, I remember there's a couple times and you would never do this day, but I used to sit in that parking lot. I would string my hammock up between like my trailer hitch on my truck to a light pole and like take a nap out in that parking lot, if the bus wasn't there yet. But I did that for a couple months.
How far is that drive?
About 5 hours
Gotcha.
from Dayton to Nashville. So I used to do that back and forth, which one of our lighting tech Chase right now is doing the same thing from North Carolina.
Yep.
I did that until I found that guest house out on the west side of town for $500. I was like, all right, it's time to make the move and
What year
get out
was
of
that?
Dayton. That was 2010. Yeah, 2000.
2010.
It was right after the flood. Was that the year of the flood? Was it 10 or
Yep.
11? I think it
May
was
2010.
2010.
May
Yeah.
2010.
So this was like August 2010.
Gotcha.
Yep. And
Gotcha.
then moved down here and haven't looked back. We did a show with Justin one day. Oh, the band Perry was opening up for Justin, and I met Pete, Justin's manager, that day, and we hit it off and exchanged numbers. They were looking for a front of house guy, and that's when I transitioned back from monitor. I'm not a monitor guy. Monitors is its own beast. You get Alyssa on the show; she'll tell you all about it. Because when you're doing monitors, you are not mixing for yourself. You are mixing for whatever that other person wants to hear, and some people want to hear some wildly different kinds of mixes depending on what instrument they're playing or what they want to hear in conjunction. Sometimes guitar players want to hear the other guitar player as well, and so
And then
monitors is not for me.
their
Their
interpretation
interpretation of it. Yep.
of what they're hearing or
Yep.
not hearing. I hear it on my ears at night. I'm like,
Yeah, you
Justin
wear a
will,
mix too. You know what it's like. Yeah.
yeah, Justin will look at Alyssa in the talk back and say, it kind of feels like I'm riding a tractor down a dirt road and the sun's not shining too bright. You know what I mean? Does that
Yeah.
make any sense? And she'll go, yep, I know exactly what you mean. And I'm like, that didn't even make
Yeah.
sense to nobody but her and him. You know?
Yeah, she has learned over the course of time, you know, an artist, she knows what he's looking for and can interpret with their description of it. And he's pretty good. He's pretty good at saying what he's hearing in a way. Like I've heard some other interpretations and stuff over the years. I'm like, Justin knows, and like he can, and he's also forgiving too if she needs a song or two to figure out exactly
Right.
what it
Yeah,
is to
he's
get it
not.
dialed
Yeah.
in. Yeah, he's pretty good at that though. I've been impressed with what he hears
I'm
and
glad he's not one of those artists that'll scream a number out. Yeah, pull out a little 900, push the
or
4K. I'm
sounds
like,
too purple today. Like what,
yeah, and you're
what does
just
that
like,
mean?
you know,
Yeah.
I used to always know, oh Lord, I'm going to do what I think needs to happen here because I know that frequency he's talking about is not. My few little
Hmm.
times I've ever done monitors, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense what you're saying. So let me pull
Yeah.
this out because I know that's where it's coming from. But so you meet the great Pete Hartung. He's from New Jersey. You're from Ohio. Y'all both love the Rat Pack. I'm sure that didn't hurt the whole
Yeah.
conversation there,
Hmm.
because both good dancers. And so you meet Pete. You're doing the monitors. It's great. It's an upgrade. I mean, no knock on that band, and that happens in our business. We've talked about that with other guests on the show. It's not. It's just work. That's how this business works. You move. You transfer. Just things happen. So you go from running
Yeah.
monitors with Band Perry, then you're going to go out on the road with Justin Moore and do front of house. Who at the time was doing front of house? Was it Art?
No, I cannot remember his name.
But he had
He
a front of
passed.
house guy. Well, they were going to let him go and you were coming in, or was he already gone and they needed
I think
somebody
they were
soon?
transitioning front of house guys because they had lost their front of house guy the summer before. I want to say he passed away in a very unfortunate in some kind of something happened.
Yeah,
So
I
they had
remember
just had
hearing
like
something
fill-in
like that.
guys,
Okay.
which I think whoever was at the time when I met Justin that night or met Pete that night, it was just a fill-in guy, and he was. I think they were struggling. So,
I dropped out for a sec. I'm going to make sure.
oh, you're back.
Yep, you got me.
Yep, I got you.
Off topic here, though. I just found out last night. I get home, my internet's not working, so I do my normal unplug, reset my router.
Hmm.
We have Point Broadband's fiber here now, which has been
Yeah, you got
great.
fiber down there.
Yep. So I'm talking. I want to talk to the tech anyway. Let's just run it now. I'm doing my thing. I'm sure this will work, but let's just run it. Anything you see on your end, let's just check everything while I got you on the horn. Seemed like a good guy. Once I finally got through the press 1 for this, 2 for that, give us your code for this, that.
Right.
I finally get somebody on the phone that I can understand and he can understand me. So we just convo and he looks it up and I'm getting like at max 100 gigs. I'm supposed to get 1,000 gigs. So
Or
something.
yeah, megabits probably you're supposed to be getting a gig. Yeah,
I'm
so you get
supposed to
like
be getting
10%. Yeah.
10% of what I'm supposed to be getting. And
Ah.
he's like, something's wrong. So I look at this. We do a couple troubleshoots. Can't get that figured out. I got a tech coming next Tuesday. I think there's something with
The
the
line coming in somewhere.
yeah, somewhere in there, or the not HDMI, whatever the cable is that goes from the wall to the router itself. That not Cat 5 or Cat 7, whatever it is, and something somewhere is not connecting because I'm getting some, but not near what I should get. And mine comes from the wall, or comes out of the wall, goes into a DOS, I think he called it, which it goes into that and back out of that to the router, and that's plugged into a plug.
Yeah. That's the fiber probably comes into the house and then gets converted over to Ethernet
Yep, and
in
then
that
goes
box. Yeah.
and
But
then
then you
goes to
said
that.
you have an access point outside too, right? You have a cable run outside over to your building, don't you?
No,
Or are
not
you
now.
doing it all wireless now?
Now we're doing it all wires. I've got 3 jump spots,
Okay.
transmitters that go around. So it actually
Uh-huh.
got one in my garage now,
Okay.
in the shop back here, and then there's one like in the living room, and then one in the back of the house. And it does pretty well. It struggles out in Sharice's she shed,
Yeah.
but it's pretty good. I might add another one at some. But it's been
Nice.
great. But I may have just been getting this the whole time, not getting what I'm paid. What I've been paying for.
Oh yeah, because I have gigabit fiber at the house now, which they installed, I think it was last year maybe, or maybe the year before. And before that, when you live out in the country, sometimes it's you get what you get. We had cable, but like it would drop out all the
Yes,
time.
all the
It
time.
would, and if you needed to upload anything, if you're editing music and stuff like it, and sending big files, it would take forever. And now they dropped, and this is all fresh fiber install out here, like so it is flawless and it is
Yes,
phenomenal, and it
it's
is
awesome.
$50 a month for a gigabit, which is cheap.
See, ours is like
Um,
110, and we're
hmm
not even getting it. And same, ours was okay, ours was spotty at best. And when Justin and I were doing his podcast, I'm trying to upload these big files, and it was taking hours,
Forever, yeah,
ever. And so I ordered Starlink. I had to be one of the first 1,000, 2,000 people in Alabama to order Starlink, but
yeah.
they didn't have it in our area yet. So I was
hmm
waiting for my equipment. Literally, my equipment comes like the week after they install fiber. So
You're like, ow. Well,
but I
hold
still
on to
take
it, I guess.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I take the Starlink when we go to Louisiana. We don't
hmm
have internet there. I run it. I run it there and use it and have it. If we go on vacation or anywhere we think we might need it, I just take it with us because
Yeah.
all I need is a power cord and I've got internet. If you need
Yeah.
it,
It's
and I'm not doing
very
any.
clever stuff.
Even if I'm not doing big stuff, Sharice and I both have little stuff we need to be doing on our computer or
Mhm.
calls, things like that. So you just need it sometimes. But
Yeah, I take it
it,
with me if we're going camping or something like that, or like. And our crew bus was the first. Our crew bus, I'm proud to say, because remember talking to Michael Brammer as soon as the FCC allowed the license for Starlink to be mounted and be mobile in operation. Our crew bus was the first one to get it mounted on. I think it was probably the first tour bus in the United States to have it. And boy, was that a game changer to
game
have
changer.
high speed internet rolling down the road, or when you're at a festival site when all the cell towers are blocked up and you can't even get a phone call out. Boom, we have high speed internet in the bus. You can do video calls or make calls over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff.
It really is, and I've said that to a lot of people in our industry. And when people ask about different things on my tour manager chat group, I actually cut and paste some of the stuff the information you've dug up on different things and the new stuff that's coming now,
hmm
and told everyone who's asked, what does anybody think about Starlink? I'm like, game changer. We couldn't do
Yeah.
without it. If you
Tell them
like,
to stay tuned. This new install we'll do on Justin's bus is going to be another game changer too, because everything streams on that bus.
yeah,
So
yeah,
goodbye, DirecTV.
Jeff's not just a production manager; he's also a consultant on these things. So for a small fee, you can have Jeff consult and make sure
Yeah,
you've got all these things on your bus as well. So y'all stay tuned for that.
we'll get
Well,
you
we got
connected. We did that to Hauser's bus. Yeah,
yeah, got him
we
set
got
up,
him
and
hooked
so,
up with Starlink. Yeah.
I think Tracy Lawrence too. I think they reach out. They
hmm
want to get hooked up too, which miss both those guys. But anyway, so we'll get back on our chronological order here. So Pete comes to you. They're in transitional period. Need a full time front of house guy. So you come on. So this would have been
January 2011. Uh,
January of 2011.
Yep, sound check, Nashville. There's supposed to be a couple people trying out. It's where I met Art and the band for the first time. We're in one of the actually the decent sized rehearsal room in there. It's had some speakers stacked up and a console, and it's like, all right, show us what
Who?
you
So
got.
Art at this point was working for them already.
Yep, Art was doing monitors and production manager. Art was production manager for a long time until I took over. So he had those two roles. Um, and to start out, it was just Art and I. There was nobody else. A few weeks after I came on, when they're like, "Yeah, we like this guy, bring him on." After that, we had intern. That's when
Love it.
Aaron Morozic came with us as an intern. He was like our first like third person. Like he was the catch-all guy, the backline guy, I remember Art and I talked about it because we're like we fell in love with intern, and Dave and I were talking about it too. We're like we were down in Florida somewhere, and like intern grabbed a roll of gaff tape and was like taping cables down the stage, like any cables we had, like guitar looms or something that was crossing over, so no one tripped on them. We're like, wow, look at this guy go. We didn't even have to tell him to do that. Like, and Dave's like, he's a total keeper. Like, got to keep this guy around. That was how intern came out. But yeah, it wasn't only a few weeks after I started is when he came on board. So it was the three of us for that first year. And then all the band on one bus and a trailer, heavily overloaded trailer full of gear. And we hit the road. That was right after Small Town USA hit. I think it hit the year before, if I remember right. That was Justin's first number one.
That was his first one. Well, that sounds about right because they put back that thing up. I want to say out in like '08,
Hmm.
or '09, and then Small Town was 10, and then third was How I Got to Be This Way.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and so you would have been around for How I Got to Be This Way once it was a single. Watched it go
Oh
to
yeah.
big number one.
Yeah. We did. I'm trying to remember exactly what our first year looked like, but I mean it was all the honky tonks,
Yeah.
all the good honky tonks across the country. We've played pretty much all of them, I would argue. And then I think our first tour that I was with them on was probably Rascal Flatts. That was our first big tour where we flip-flopped with, I think it was Sarah Evans. We'd flip-flop with each night for the direct support role.
Okay.
Um, on the Flats tour, and the year after that was the Eric Church tour, Eric's first arena tour.
Yep.
We were direct support with him, and Kip Moore, and then Art and I used to
And
mix
we
Kip Moore
and
and
we
Justin
flipped
Moore.
some of those shows with you when I was with John Party on that same Eric Church tour because sometimes Brantley would be direct support and we would open for Brantley, and then
Wow.
on some of the
Okay.
shows you guys didn't do on that same
What was that tour called? It
I
was
got my laminate
Blood,
somewhere.
Sweat, and Beers or something
Blood,
like
Sweat, and
that. Was that?
Beers. Yep. Blood,
Yeah.
Sweat, and Beers. That was it. Yep. So around that same
Legends.
time, yeah, the great tour. Todd
That is one of the
Bunch.
best tours ever. Like those guys, yeah, Sambo and Irby, God rest his soul. All
Yep.
those guys, like legends.
Legends.
And Ben Rigby, who was a tech out there, now he's front of house for Eric
Yep.
Church, killing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out Ben Rigby. Shout out Team Eric Church, Chief, all your
Oh
bunch.
yeah.
Great.
We
That's our
miss you guys.
Yeah, man, that's one of our favorites. That's I look up. I mentioned Todd Bunch on here all the time. He was really helpful to me in those early days because at the same time I had just come from club honky tonk scene regionally to the big leagues, and here I am at we're opening for Brantley, opening for Eric Church at Red Rocks, and I'm like I can't. How did I get here?
Hmm.
I'm a one man band. I don't even have any production help. I'm taping cables down. I'm setting up guitar, pedal boards.
Yeah,
I'm
with
doing
Party at the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and trying to do the best I could with using whatever help, tipping out or whatever we could do. And we play clubs sometimes. Show up and the sound man's drunk. I would run sound at the club because, and I barely. The only reason I knew what I did know was from trial and error with Wayne and then Southern Holler with. I mean, just it's crazy, but just enough to get by. Hey, whatever you got to do to get the show, whatever you got to do to get
Yeah.
by.
You do whatever you got to do to get a show going. Yeah,
You get it
for
done.
sure.
So then you're on tour with Justin. Y'all are rocking and roll. By this point, you're rocking and rolling. Y'all are out opening for Eric Church. I mean, Justin's got a couple of number ones under his belt. Things are going
Hmm.
good. So then I guess that would be the next year when I met you guys. Y'all did your own
Yep, that
tour.
was our first headline tour when Party was opening up for us. It was
Outlaws Like Me.
uh yep. And who was our it
Dustin
was John
Lynch.
Party and Dustin Lynch and Justin Moore. Yeah. And you
Because
were
at
the
the
one man
time,
band with Party.
yep, I was. And at the time, Dustin Lynch was managed by Pete, Justin's manager. They were both
Hmm.
managed by
Same
Pete.
manager.
Yeah, great
Yep.
way to double dip there, Pete. I hear you.
Yep.
That's what a lot of people do now. They still do that.
Yeah.
Or a label. The label puts two together because it's easy
A
to
tour
market.
might have a bunch of the same artists from the same management or label out. Yeah.
That happens regularly. But yeah, the
Hmm.
Outlaws Like Me tour. We come out open for you guys. That was the first time we got a whole tour to go open for somebody. Before that, we were just fill in weekends here and there on tours,
Hmm.
whether it be Luke Bryan or Church or somebody like that. And then we go out. We're going to play, I don't know, 30, 40 dates with you guys. This was a tour. We were pumped, and we had just started riding a bus regularly. And, we get out there, and at this point, it's you, Art, Intern, Warhawk, Aaron Luke.
And Aaron Luke.
That was it. We didn't have I guess Intern was our guitar tech and stage manager and all of that. So we had a five crew. We had a 5-piece band then. When I got there, it was Roger, Dave, Corey, Josh Cross, and Nathan Sexton, Nasty Nate.
Sexton.
Yep. God bless him. I love Nate, my buddy.
Yep. We had John Kaler out for systems engineer. And we had a couple of Andrew Oakes.
Andrew Oakes.
Another legend in the
Swaggy Keith Dixon.
Oh yeah, Swaggy.
Swaggy was kind of my first friend. Him, and then Josh, which obviously I love. Josh Cross, that's my brother. He's doing great these days. Shout out to him. Love you, brother. I know you had some tough stuff, family recently. I was thinking about you on that. But great bunch, and yeah, Swaggy was the first one that because I was going to tip him out to sell our merch because I was a one-man band. I couldn't sell merch.
Yeah, you couldn't do
everything. So we got to be buddies, and then Brian, then the bus driver at that point, because at that time Robbie was driving the semi truck. That's when Robbie came on driving the truck. So Brian and I both being from the same part of Mississippi, we hit it off real quick, and then really everybody, you guys were so nice to us and so cool. I guess as it makes sense, it was y'all's first big one. Y'all were happy to be there too, you know.
So I remember you coming up to us going, "Hey, what can I do to help? Like I'm only one man, but like I can do some stuff." We're like, "Hey, can you help us get your backdrop down every night?"
Yeah.
Like,
well, I wanted
to. Hey, that'd be great.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like, you know, I was like, I want to help. I want to do stuff. And for me, I wanted to see what was going on because I knew where this thing was going. I needed to learn what I needed to, you know, anything I could learn because I hadn't been on that big level like that. I could tell you how to negotiate with some club owner in the deep South, you know, and this and that, but not some of that stuff. So yeah, I was glad to be there, and it was, and then eventually I brought Dude Man Davey out to help some, which is I was still a one man band. He was absolutely no help. He could watch the dog some. He was good at that. He knows that we still vacation together and party together. He's listened to this and he's laughing because he knows it. I looked at him one time. I was like, "Damn, Davey, I can't do it all." I said, "I gave you one thing to do. That's the only thing I needed you to do, and you couldn't even do that. Just get out of here." But yeah. So and you guys were just super nice to us and accommodating. Joey was super cool. Even though I thought he was like a undercover cop or something for the first couple of months, so I really got his personality.
Got a great poker face.
Great poker face. Joey G, great poker face. And we were doing shows with Brad Denise Garrett, who are great hosts. They put on great shows. They've done these big Cody Johnson tours last few years before us. They were doing Miranda
Blake
tours.
Shelton over the years, Miranda,
They just do a great job. Shout out Police Productions. Great bunch there. Todd Bunch was out with them then. Walt, our good buddy Walt in St. Louis. Just a Nick. I mean, just a great bunch to work with. So it was a great experience for us. And that's how I first met you guys. And then I used to drink a lot, but I guess we all partied together some, and we got to hanging out some during the shows.
There might have been a little bit of that over the course of the years, maybe over the course of 1,000 shows, you know.
Yeah, but then and then during that year, when we would be at a show not with you guys on tour, we would be at a fair or festival together or something like that. We would all start hanging out some, and that's kind of where I got to be buddied up with Justin. We just got to talking about normal old country folk stuff, Arkansas, Alabama, and then by the end of that year is when they asked me to come on and be Joey's assistant. Do you remember anything about that? Did you remember them mentioning anything?
I was just going through that in my head. I don't. All I remember is just at one point we're like, "Oh, JR's coming out with us." We're like, "Cool, that'll be good." We're like we could use some help over in that side of things, you know, organizing runners later at night or whatever it may be, we've always been such a slim crew, a small crew with taking on multiple roles that anytime we could get more help, like it works.
Absolutely. Still now.
But I don't remember how it happened. I don't remember where or like what your first date was.
I can't remember. I think I remember telling Justin that John was going to take a month off to go hunting in like South Africa with his dad, and he's like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "I don't know. I ain't got none." He said, "Why don't you come work for us? Joey needs an assistant because he's got to go with me everywhere, and he needs somebody on site to set the things up and talk to people and get dressed, bus stock, hotels, and runners handled, and we'll pay you." couple hundred, whatever, a week or show pay until, throughout the end of the year, and it was cool. And by the end of that, he offered me to come stay on full time. But the first shows we did were in, I want to say early November or late October. And I know for a fact the first two shows we did was at outside show at Coyote Joe's and an inside show at the music farm in Greenville. And our opening act both night was Chris Stapleton.
Yep, I'll never forget that outside show with Stapleton that night opening up for us because I just remember I got the opportunity to pass around a bottle of Jack that night with Chris Stapleton, have him tell some stories, Be- just as like just one of the guys.
Yep. Yep.
And another legend. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
yeah, I'll never
ascended to
forget
those
that night.
ranks, but he was just, and he and Roger went to school together. They grew up together. So it was just so cool. And I knew then, we all knew then because of what he'd been doing in town that he was a force to be reckoned with. So we were all
Oh yeah,
sitting
yeah.
on
If you
the
knew his
stage.
music at all, you're like, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, from Steel Drivers, Johnson Brothers, his demos he was singing. I mean, everybody just knew how much of a monster he was. So we would all watch his set every night. And at the end of that first one at Coyote Joe's, when I fell off the back of the stage and
I
almost
wasn't gonna
impaled
say it,
myself.
but you did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fell off the back of the stage. Well, and I had a few drinks, but it was more of anything.
But it was dark back there.
It
There
was
was no
dark.
handrails.
All day
yeah.
had been light, because we're outside. There'd been light. I could see everything. Well, at this time of night, man, it was dark. There was no handrails. I got a flashlight. I don't really know Justin's routine yet. I don't know. We had this big set at the time, and I didn't know which side of the set he was going to walk around. So I'm trying to look, and I'm trying to see where he went. I can't see him. And then, whoa, boom, I hit the earth. Didn't spill my drink, but look over, and about 2 or 3 feet from me was a spike in the ground that was holding part of the staging down. I was like, oh, that could have been real bad. Here comes Joey and Justin walking by. Joey just looks at me. You okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Be there in a minute. Just that was a great start. But Stapleton with us, and then the next night we played in Greenville at the Music Farm, which I had been to that. I had played that venue before when I helped with the Dexatines. I TM'd the Dexatines a few shows, and we were out with the Drive-By Truckers and had played that couple years before that. But yeah, so then I'm on the road with you guys. This is the end of 13 going into 14. And we pretty much rocking and rolling there for a while. I win ACM New Artist of the Year. I mean, we're doing our own big tours. We're doing all kinds of cool festivals and stuff. It's rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
And then,
selling good arenas and all that. And
it's been great ever since, really. And then it was, but that was about the time, it wasn't anything major, but some people were kind of tiffy with each other from time to time. And it wasn't anything major. Like I said, everybody had been together for a long time. And then we started to have some exits from the original crew. Who was the first of bunch? Did Aaron Luke go first?
Trying to remember if it was. I think it was
because I think Aaron Luke
I think
left.
it was Aaron Luke first,
and then because he would still come back, and most of the crew was still together when he would come back and help some.
we had him fill in a few times. Yeah, I think.
And
Aaron
it wasn't
Luke left
anything
first.
bad. He wasn't.
Oh, no,
It's just
moving on with his career.
Yeah, just you want to do other things. Some people, some people want to stay with somebody forever. Then some people want to do rock for a while. Want to do jazz for a while.
Like even like the lighting
town.
side of things. Like he became a massive programmer, like so programming other shows with Sooner, who's our lighting designer and has been for years. So he worked with her, and they worked side by side for a while, as a team, programming other shows. And Aaron Luke now works for not Mainlight, shoot, it's the company that distributes MA consoles in the United States. But he's at home now, so and
that's
kids.
a lot of it too. A lot of people just want to be home more, and you find another role.
Same with intern, same with Aaron Morozic. He's heading up rigging now and being at home with his kids and
and his wife had that business in town, that he wanted to help.
Yeah, shout out to Alicia Ba and One Drop Ink.
Absolutely,
phenomenal tattoo artist.
Absolutely, I'm going to hold her to it. They still owe me a tattoo from a time I loaned them my van to go to Florida one time. And they probably neither one of them's gonna remember it, but I'm holding y'all to that one day when I still hadn't gotten any. So it's not like I've been cheating on y'all and y'all ain't been cheating on me.
Or you have to get intern on and have him tell him about his tattoo stories. Because
I'd love to have intern on. I got
Yeah,
to.
you can't tease that too much till you show it off. But
Yeah.
there's some that's a good road story right there
But I'm still gonna
of
get them
how
to
that
do one. But yeah, that was that's classic. We got to have them on together. We need to have both of them
I'd be
on
good.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna do a at some point. I don't know when I'm in Nashville and I come stay with you sometime when we've some off day or something. We're gonna get everybody together and do a big
Do a
round
round
table.
table. That
Yes, that would be
yes, that
great.
would be good.
Yeah, where we had enough stuff and we'll get Cody to help. So we got plenty of cameras and all that fun stuff and do
That's
a
a
round
great
table.
idea.
Yeah, that could be really fun telling those stories, and it'd be good content for Justin's stuff too. It's just some behind the
Hmm.
scenes on us.
Gotta get Mike
Um,
Jones on there from back in the day. Yeah,
yes,
gotta have him tell some of his road stories.
Eddie. What about Justin's bus
And
driver,
Eddie,
Eddie?
if you got the two of them together back and forth, like talents, it'd be amazing. I still
I
think
get
that'd be
Yeah, it'd be
yeah.
incredible. I'd get Shaggy on, but we wouldn't be able to play 90% of it. It'd be bleeped out.
I think Eddie's stories probably are past the statute of limitations now, so I think it'd be
Yeah,
safe.
right. It doesn't matter anymore. Um, but so we lose intern. Who was well? We won't go through all the people we've had to get to where we're at, but so we lose intern. Then right around before the pandemic, and it wasn't even because of the pandemic necessarily. It was just a change of the guard. Art was leaving and Joey was leaving, and me and you were going to
Hmm.
take over as tour manager and production manager, which was an easy transition because you'd been there forever. At this point, I'd been there, and originally I was only supposed to be assistant for a couple of years, and Joey's coming off the road, but he stretched that on out several more years. So at this
Yeah,
point, I'd been there 7 years or whatever, and so we both knew those jobs inside and out. It was an easy
hmm.
transition. It
I
wasn't
think it was like 2017, maybe.
was that it?
Sounds about
I
right.
know I know my first gigs were end of 19 with Joey.
It was 2018. I remember where Art said he was leaving because we were in a casino in Canada, and I was like, oh boy. That's go through the whole rounds of like, hey, go talk to Justin, see if you want the role, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah, yep. He
Um,
was just ready to go do something else, and then not long after that, he went and worked for Greta Van Fleet and did the rock and roll stuff for a while.
yeah, tour with Greta Van Fleet for a little while. Did a stint with Lainey Wilson when she was putting out her first big tour. Now he works for the TVA. He's up in Paducah, Kentucky. Gonna get married and
Just
bought a
random.
house. And yeah, we're in Paducah, Kentucky. He's working on their major projects up there. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So then takes over. So then we go into the pandemic, and it's me and you, and our first weekend out. I've told this on here. We get shut down. Ice storms of the north or up north in the northwest. I think we're going from
yeah.
Nebraska to South
I'm
Dakota or
pretty sure
something.
we all got COVID that weekend too. Like before we even knew what COVID was, because we all got sick. We're
Yep.
like I thought with like it hurt our one truck driver pretty bad. He had to go to once we got home from that weekend, he had to go to urgent care, and they were trying to figure out. They're like, well, it's not the flu, et cetera, et cetera.
Same.
But yeah, we all got.
I went. They told me it was upper respiratory infection, and I
Yeah,
got
like
some stuff.
us.
But I was
Yeah,
sick. I didn't lose taste and smell thing. I did the next time I got it. But yeah, we all came back sick after
that
that.
was January of 2020 in Dodge City, Kansas, where
Yeah,
we were rehearsing for like a week,
that's right.
programming and stuff. So we'd rented the arena out, and we had set up production, and Sooner was out there and programming, and Sooner, and then we had that was Charles at the time running
Yep.
lights. Charles out with Stapleton now. He was doing he was pit cam on Stapleton and maybe crew chiefing as well, I think, or with the Moo TV guys.
That's awesome. I
Um,
always liked Charles.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
shout out to Charles.
Yep. Shout out
Great human.
Charles. Yep. Good.
Yeah,
Good dude.
that was COVID. That was when COVID hit. I think we ended up getting maybe a dozen shows in that year before we got shut down.
About that. Yeah.
Just built a brand new set, big, beautiful set, and spent all that money on a new set, and got to use it, what, yeah, 10, 12 times. Or just getting going. That was with Tracy Lawrence,
Yep.
and then Lainey was our opening act, wasn't
Oh
she?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I, I
yeah,
was
from
looking. I had. I forgot I had these, and I just saw them in my drawer today, and thought these will be fun to bring out. Yeah, we had Laney, Tracy, and Justin.
there you go.
That's from that tour. Let me see. I think I've got her.
All of our old tour signs.
Yeah, Outback.
Oh, yep, yep. Outback Productions.
That was who was our promoter for the run. Oh yeah,
There it is. Lainey Wilson, band dressing room.
So
Doesn't
I've
seem
got
like that long ago,
no, it
but
doesn't.
it is.
And I've got so much of this junk. I've saved it those years because I thought when my career finally ends, I'm going to hawk all this stuff for $5 a piece on eBay or something, and
Yeah.
hopefully I can make. If I've got it by bulk, none of it's worth that much individually, but if I sell it all, I might it might help my retirement in some form. But yeah, that was that tour, and man, had a couple of great shows, big houses, full arenas,
Yeah.
and then just got
We
shut
were off to
down.
a great start. I mean, we were just getting into our groove of that tour. Carrying video, just a beautiful design by Sooner, this whole wooden honky tonk look on stage, antlers on chandeliers and all this stuff. Really neat. And yeah, we were in, well, we just played it recently. We were down in Louisiana at that, is it the
Shreveport,
Horseshoe?
yeah, the
Shreveport?
Horseshoe in Shreveport,
The
yep.
Horseshoe, and like that's when we were starting to hear grumblings across the country of like this virus and all that stuff and like what they might do. And that was the day they pulled the plug on live events. And I remember we loaded in that day.
Yep.
We are like, what's going on? What's going on? And they pulled the plug on live events. And they're like, well, is it going to be a state by state thing? And we're like, well, we were supposed to go to Billy Bob's the next night. We're like, what's Texas going to do? Are we
And
going
I'm on the
to?
phone with them, and they're telling us, no, we're going to have a show. This is Texas,
Yep.
baby. We're going to play. And I knew before them because I was listening to Joe Rogan already, and I knew leading up to that, I was like, this thing's getting around. People, I don't know, but it's going. I was like, they're going to make something out of this. This is going to be a big
Hmm.
deal. And yeah, we're in Shreveport. We're on the fence, calling Billy Bob's. They're saying, nope, we're going to have the show. Governor's supposed to make an announcement at 4:00. I'll call you back after that. Well, at 4:03, he calls me back and says, we ain't having no show. So
Yeah.
I go get a rental car and I grab a bottle of vodka and a bottle of like hand sanitizer and a few snacks off the bus, and I take off back.
Priorities.
I take off. By the time we were in Louisiana, I was like, I'm going back to Louisiana. So I
Yeah,
got on
yeah,
the
we're like, all
road.
right, we'll see you guys in like 2 weeks. We'll let this thing calm down. And
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, we loaded out, didn't do a show. We just loaded it in. A couple hours later, loaded it back in the trucks, and we're like,
And
all right, we'll see you.
I had just got a package of some more of our credentials for that. We had some, but I guess I'd ordered more passes like meet and greets or
Hmm.
just crew stickers and stuff. So I had like $2,000 worth of box worth of stickers that we were never going to get to use.
Uh-huh.
But I remember putting them back up that day, and I was thinking, wow. And I remember Justin and Kate was there because they were going to go
Hmm.
somewhere not long after that. They were going on a vacation somewhere, and they were like, well, surely that'll still happen. I was like, I don't know. I doubt y'all going to be going on any vacation. I'm just telling, well, it's already there. It surely be fine. I'm like, I know
Like
y'all
we've
hadn't
never
heard that.
shut things down like this
Yeah, I was like,
before.
I know,
Yeah.
and they didn't, and this was not, they hadn't officially done it everywhere and all that, but I was like, I knew how they didn't. Most people didn't have a clue. That you heard a little bit about this thing, but you don't really know. And I'm like, I'm hearing some detailed stuff on Rogan, some experts talking about it on all sides. I'm like, I can tell you, this is going to be a big deal. This isn't just a little something here.
Hmm.
And then yeah, and Justin has that. He tells the story. He commented to our bus driver. All right, well, I'm sure we'll see you in just a few weeks. Y'all
Yep.
be safe. And then
Enjoy your vacation.
yeah, and then it was. I mean, I don't even remember how we started getting back to doing shows. Months later, we finally did a couple outlaw
Stand
shows.
by. I'm
We
gonna pull up while I talk to you. I'm gonna grab my master tour from that year.
Yeah, because I
Because yeah,
know
we did.
we did a couple of outlaw shows where I mean we literally just went and drove and played places, acoustic and this and that, or go find somewhere that was outside of some jurisdictions. Go play down in Florida. Few things, but it
All
wasn't a
right, so
whole
there it
lot.
is. Yeah, we canceled all those in March. We did the Mission Ballroom. Yep. And then we came out Kansas City, Missouri. We did that one, the Uptown Theater. And then after that, the last one I have on note there was March 21st, which we canceled. That was Clewiston Sugar Festival. And then it was the next thing we did. We did a gear prep in October, Lynchburg Music Festival in Mulberry, Tennessee, down by Jack Daniels.
That was one of the first shows we
Yeah,
did back.
that
And
was
Lane,
weird because
yeah,
we're like, what do we do? Do we wear masks? Do we
yep.
distance? Like it
And
was.
it was wild show on multiple levels too, because we
Hmm.
unfortunately Laney was on that show with us. I remember that was Stefan's
Hmm.
first gig, our new guitar player. That was his first
Oh yeah,
gig.
because Josh had left us in between then. Yep.
Yep. And we unfortunately had a crew member at the time who was in a bad way during that run, who unfortunately has passed since then.
Hmm.
We were dealing with that day. And just like you said, the uncertainty of not knowing, are like people going to show up? Is this going to happen? What's up? And then they did. Everybody showed up, no mask, everything was rock and roll. It was good. Good times, catering again. It was good.
Riley Green opened up for us that night.
Was it Riley and Laney?
Yeah, Riley and Daniel Bradbury.
Daniel Bradbury. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe that's
and
it.
that was our first show back. That was October 3rd of 2020, and we only did a few because we were doing distance shows. We went to Charlotte Motor Speedway and we did the thing where like it was a drive-in, so everyone could tune in to. We put our band on stage with a big video wall at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then I was in a truck out back that SES brought, and I had a console back there, and I was mixing like a broadcast version dial into the FM. We had an FM transmitter, and everyone could dial in like they were going to a drive-in movie
Yeah.
theater and watch that
And it
show.
was
That
so
was
weird because there was no
so
sound coming
weird.
from the stage. There was
No,
no
see, like the
PA.
band's playing, like you're out, you walked out with the cars, and like you could hear a show, but like it was such a cacophony of sound coming from so many different places. It was
And there
very
was, and we
strange.
were trying to make up fake crowd noise, so just to have them
Yeah,
make
so
it feel
just so it
live.
felt like something. Yeah,
Yeah,
Warhawk had some Zach had some crowds queued up on a playback system that you could fade in at the end of songs and people cheer and stuff to make it feel kind of
it was
normal.
wild. And then we went up to Arkansas and did a couple things like out in the,
Yep.
little shows out in the sticks.
Just a few things in October, North Texas State Fair in Denton, Texas. And we did Billy Bob's in December that year.
I know we did an acoustic thing before that because that was one of Josh's last shows. He came down with him and Roger and Justin. We played the Floribama at the tent.
Yes, that's right.
And we went down to the barn in Sanford, Florida and played an acoustic show.
We did one in Mountain Home, Arkansas too.
Yep.
Acoustic.
Yep, with Ricky.
Yeah. Because that was like us. That was all of us on Justin's bus. It felt like we're gonna make some of us are gonna make some kind of money some way. We're gonna go and do acoustic shows. Whoever might want to have us out.
Yeah, anything we could do to work, we were ready to go
Yeah.
work.
That was 2020. Yeah.
And Justin and I drove his truck. I remember I drove Justin's truck. We drove his white truck from Arkansas. I drove all the way to those gigs, and then there was another one up there somewhere. It was a fundraiser thing out I thought it was in Missouri, but we've done it again since then. It was a Gigi's thing. We did this place twice, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, they were just trickling back, and then
We did that live stream event in 2021 where we
started the
ran
year
out
off
that
trying to do the
barn.
live stream. Yeah, and Justin was
Yeah.
half sick to start with, and it just took
Yeah.
us, and it just was weird altogether. Everybody was trying to do
Took a
these
couple
live
times to
stream
get-
things.
Yeah, that was different. They're like, oh, people are going to stream this stuff from their houses. Like they want to see a show, and we're like, maybe. But
Or
like,
you
I
could
think
just
people
watch-
want to be at live events. They want that feeling, that escape.
Yeah.
They might watch stuff on TV, but it isn't
And
the same as
YouTube,
going
well,
to a
you do. You
concert.
watch YouTube stuff, but you're not going to necessarily watch it like you would a concert.
I'm not going to watch. Yeah, it's not going to give me the same effect. And
Like I'm not going to
feeling.
wait and sit with my popcorn ready to watch this. I'll watch it on YouTube whenever, and YouTube's even gotten more
Right.
since then. But it was like it wasn't like on demand type stuff. It was tough. And then we started,
Yeah.
and after
The
that,
Floribama and all that was in 2021. Yeah, we did the plant in Dothan, Alabama. Yeah, then we did Billy Bob's again. That was in
Yep.
March of 21.
Yep.
Yeah, and even 21 was slow going. Like it was a few things here and there.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
bunch
then
of acoustics.
a bunch of acoustic shows, just wherever, whenever type stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, weird times. I can barely remember it. Weird times.
It's funny, Kyle. Some of the things stand out as they were very recent, and other aspects of it. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like it's messed with our clocks and our minds
It
the way
definitely
that event
has.
took place.
Yeah, and it messed with everything, like we were saying earlier. It messed with every aspect of our business. With
Yeah. And what did you do
personnel.
during the pandemic? Like, what'd you do to make a living?
I went and drove the lumber truck at the Builder
Mm-hmm.
Supply. I went and ran sound at the Floribama.
Yeah.
I drove Uber for a couple of days before they shut Alabama down too. But
The
luckily,
tourism side of it, yeah.
the tourism side, you couldn't rent condos, no tourists could come. So, but the Floribama is registered in Florida. It's on the Alabama-Florida state line. The actual property is more on Florida, so the business license is in Florida. So it was open for business, but we had to morph. Like at one point, they had to put picnic tables all throughout the whole bar and had to have weighted service, and nobody could dance. They could have bands, but nobody could get up and dance, and some weird things.
Isn't that wild to think about?
Yeah,
nowadays.
it's so strange. And the mask thing, it's like what a joke.
Hmm.
That's only if you're sick, you probably should wear a mask. Not try not to get everybody else sick. It still ain't gonna work, but you should try. And
Like
any other
restrictions on things of like someone controlling, like, hey, you can't dance
you
here.
can't
Like,
get too close. You know you're too close,
yeah,
dancing too close. I'm like, come on now.
yeah.
But so I did that. I drove the lumber truck a lot, which was cool because at the time Justin and I just started the podcast, so I had time to do the Justin Moore
Hmm.
podcast. I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I was learning the new place. I had just moved back to Alabama from Louisiana full time. So I was getting to learn the lay of this county. I was driving the truck around, learning all the roads and
Hmm.
different places. That was cool. And then relearning a lot of the stuff at the Floribama that was probably good for me to brush up on mid-career, as far as remembering how some sound stuff works, some just aspects of working in a bar, and loading in bands. I was still getting to load in and out bands and talk to people because the radio station would have special events for St. Jude where national artists would come in, so I'd still get to see a couple of friends and feel somewhat like what we were used to doing.
Hmm.
So I was just doing all that, and then I started doing remodeling on the side too, which turned into the remodeling company I own now. Um, but just stayed busy. My thought on that was, and a lot of people did whatever. I eased back on the drinking, because I was just trying to keep my immune system up and try to do the best I could with the what I had dealt to me. And I said I'm gonna be as strategic as I can with this. And I just stayed busy, and I thought as long as I'm busy, that's all I can do. If I can earn it, it ain't what I need, but as long as I've got something coming in and I can stay busy, that's all I can do to control my personal space. I can't go fix the country or the world, but I can just do the
Right.
best I can right here. So got projects done at home, just stayed, and then just the podcast kept us involved with a lot because Justin and I both got to talk to a lot of different artists and friends. And then we were doing that on into the point where we started really rolling and doing shows again. So
Hmm.
that kind of kept it a little relevant, but we were more free down here. How about you guys? How was Nashville? Nashville was pretty much locked down, wasn't it?
It was pretty well locked down. I mean, without going into too many politics, Nashville is a very blue city in a red state, so Nashville t took a lot of precautions on things. Um, I I don't remember how I decided I was going to do it or how I was looking for jobs because we were trying to find out how we could make some money, and like none of the PPP money ever worked for me, at least. Like I never could fit into applying for it, so I ended up finding a courier company. Um, which was in relation to the pandemic was really funny. So there was a courier company that needed drivers for different things. You need your own vehicle. So I went and bought um Tucker, our drummer, had his friend Al is a used to be a certified Toyota mechanic. He had an old Toyota Avalon for sale. Like a 2000 Toyota Avalon, gold, just grandpa car, but super comfortable. Bought it for a few grand or a couple grand from him and started working for this touring company or this courier company. And our one of we had a few different places that we did contracts with. One of my jobs was a route I would do every day. I would go pick up COVID tests from rural health departments in Tennessee, and I would bring them back in to a lab in Nashville so they could get processed. So every day I would go out on my route. I would drive like 200 to 300 miles a day, go out into east or like m mid to east Tennessee, like over towards Cookville and stuff. And I did this route through all the hills and stuff, and I'd stop by these rural health departments, had a cooler in the trunk, and I'd pack up all these COVID tests and take them back in the lab and listen to podcasts every day. I
Yep.
didn't have to talk to anybody hardly at all. I just drove around, drove this car. It was wonderful. I mean, it wasn't a great paying job, but it was at the time we didn't know what we're like. Oh, I'm not around anybody. I don't have to be around people
Yeah,
for the most
it's
part. Like
crazy
I
the way you look at
make my
things
own
because
schedule. Yeah,
anyone else would think what we did, and we're like, "Oh boy, this was a great." But if you've done something for a long time, it's like, "Well, this is a nice change of pace here." I had to
it was
listen. I just ride
different. Like it
around by
was definitely
myself.
different.
If the money was good at doing that, it might be an
Yeah.
argument for just doing that. But
The
it
other
was
side of it was at night was we continue working and there was a pharmacy. There was a what do you call it where they mix drugs? They There's a major pharmacy in Murfreesboro that compounds drugs as well. But they do deliveries, especially like hospice patients, cancer patients, some hospitals that need certain drugs immediately. Um, so we were, I guess, bonded and background checked for that. But I would go do I was a legal narcotics dealer for the most part in delivery,
Right.
all around Nashville and all around the area. We would get routes from these guys and like go, someone may need. I mean, we were delivering fentanyl to cancer patients or like some crazy stuff that was very
Wow.
controlled. But yeah, we delivered. At nighttime I was delivering legal drugs to patients and things, and daytime doing courier routes of picking
Tests
up COVID tests and I would change the oil in this car like every 2 weeks.
because
It
you
was
were
like
just
300 miles a day. Cause it's like
yeah.
in a couple weeks, it was 3,000 miles. So I
Right.
had big jugs of oil. I could change the oil in that car in like 10 minutes. It was great.
Right.
That car was a chance. If any people out there, you got to buy a car, you buy a Toyota. Like that car, I finally sold it. It had 340,000 miles on it. I think I
Still
bought it with
right.
like 200. Yeah, great. Old
Wow.
grandpa car, super comfortable though.
Yeah.
Like great car. Put a stereo in it. I was like, and that was me during the pandemic mostly,
Wow.
unless we tried to do a show or something like an acoustic or something.
Right. And then
Yeah.
now we're like we were talking earlier. Now we're basically back to normal full touring seasons, and got about
Hmm.
two of those under our belt. Things are getting back more normal, and hopefully have another good one next year.
Yeah. We're
Um,
blessed with an artist too that keeps them that tours not all the year, but most of the year consistently.
yeah.
Yeah, like as opposed to some guys that may do, 3 months on, 6 months. There's a lot of guys in our business, or especially in the rock side of things, or in other parts, where like people bounce between tours all the time. I have friends that are trying to manage jumping between tours and lining up schedules, and maybe trying to find a fill in here because this tour starts here. And it's like,
Right.
man, we're really blessed. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. We just stay
Yeah.
busy. We spread our 75, 80 shows out throughout the year and get them done. And you
Yep.
and I, a lot of times, that's you and I's one of our jobs is after it's thought that these proposed dates may happen from the agent, they send it to us to look over. What are our pro and cons? What do we think? Should we take it or not? What do we think on it? And between you and I, we'll get together and usually come up with a uniform front on what we're going to present to Justin and Joey and whoever, Lane, our agent, about what we think
Hmm.
about the gig. Um, and there's a lot of reasons that could be problems with stuff, production side, hospitality side, just anything. Logistics,
Yep.
routing is a big one a lot of times. Can we actually get there in
Can
time?
we
And what
get there in time? They love, I mean, no offense to anyone that works in offices, but they love just Google mapping stuff. It's like, well, it says they can get there in 7 hours. I'm like, or 8 hours. Like, that's 8 hours through the mountains on back roads. Like,
yeah.
no, we can't do
Yeah,
that. That was Dodge City,
you might
Kansas.
can't your
Yeah.
car by yourself,
Yeah.
but not tour buses pulling trailers, going a speed limit where everybody can possibly sleep and everything else.
Absolutely. We don't go 70 miles an hour. We
No.
take curves easy and stuff like that. Like I always average, now I'm giving away my secrets on the internet. When I average time out for buses, when I do my routing and stuff like that, I average 55 miles an hour. And that will almost always guarantee you will get someplace earlier than what you expected, and everybody will be happy about it.
And give you time for a fuel stop and things like that if you need
Yep,
to.
exactly. Give you a little bit of wiggle room in case you break a belt or who knows that anything can happen.
Yeah, it really can. And and then sometimes, if the gigs line up, I know a couple years ago we had to go, we had a Fort Lauderdale and a Houston, Texas the next day. And there's absolutely no way. So we had to rent a private jet to take us all
Hmm.
in the middle of the night. And everybody's like, "Oh, that must be cool, the private jet." Yeah, a PJ is nice if you're going something you want to do and it's in the right time, but at 3, I mean, and it's still better than that's the only
Yeah.
option we had. It's the only reason we did it. But still, you're loading up and leaving at 3 a.m. You're landing
You're
somewhere
not going to get
at
any sleep.
5 a.m. You got to unload and then you got to be loading in at 9 a.m. I mean,
Yep.
it was just it wasn't a luxury ride. I mean, we made the best of it, and that's normally what we do on the road. Is we just make the best of it. Everybody thinks it's a
Hmm.
big party, and everybody's just having so much fun, and it is a very rewarding job. But for the most part, we're all just trying to make the best of it and get our jobs done. And part of it is us acting like it's fun. That's part of the thing. We can't you can't walk around in grumpy, bad mood and things like that.
No, people need to like you. You want to, it's a family on the road. Like,
Yeah,
and that goes with your local people that you're working with too. It's like there's a time and a place to be an asshole, if it ever is warranted. But for the most part, people need to like you. They want to work with you guys. I mean, we're not the biggest artists out there. We want people to like us and have us back. I mean, that's part of, we have that repertoire of
right.
like. Yeah, people
And we get
want to like you.
yeah, and we get good reports back. You know,
Mhm.
we don't ever get Gavin Adcock cussing us out because we made his parents get off his console or anything like that. I mean, we just don't have those incidents. Oh, wait a minute, that was I forgot that happened. Yeah, hey,
That just happened.
that just happened. Yeah, I've been seeing the back and forth banter on that, and I don't want to make my comment on it because I don't know all the parameters, but it's always something. It seems like. But I've met Gavin at the softball tournament we did a few months ago or a month or so back at CMA week, and he was great. We hung out. His fiance, we all met. He's super cool, nice
Hmm.
guy, pretty good athlete too.
Yeah, he used to
But
be ex football player. Did he get injured or something like that, right?
oh, did he play college ball or something?
Was he college ball? I think. I think so.
Maybe so, or maybe been a high school stud. But he looks like it.
Maybe, yeah. Hmm.
He's you know, he's a good sized fella. Um, so I don't want to comment on that, but I just thought it was something in the news. You know, I guess everybody saw they were doing you know, one of those
Those
big
Rock the South in South
rock the
Carolina or something.
country
Yeah,
or rock
Rock
the
the
South.
Country in South
Yeah.
Carolina. Yeah.
So it was he was playing, and then I guess Nickelback was going on later that night, and I guess he saw from the stage that his parents were getting into some kind of
Got
discussion or
tuffle with
tuffle
with
with
the
his with the some
Nickelback's front of
engineer,
house engineer.
nickel
Yeah.
house front of house guy, and apparently it escalated. He come off the stage, it was a big tussle. Somebody got arrested, this and that.
Yeah.
So
There was some cussing going on.
yeah,
There's
that's what
some
I heard. I
big
can't wait.
MFers and all that stuff.
Yeah, we'll see. And then some. Then I just noticed today he had put a comment out on a video he had posted on socials, kind of explaining the situation. I didn't watch the video. I just looked down at the comments, see what everybody's vibe was, and basically said to me like apparently somebody put some stuff on the console or messed with the console, and then once it was some smart mouth back and
Yeah.
forth. I'm sure everybody could have handled the situation better, um, but
Folks,
you
don't
know,
put drinks on consoles
yeah,
in road cases. Don't do
I
that.
literally in my security meeting every
That's a
day.
pet peeve of
I
mine.
tell them, can I please have an extra security person or two at front of house to make sure no one puts drinks on any of our equipment or impedes on our
Yeah.
engineers' space. I say because that's hundreds of $1,000s worth of gear, and
We wrecked a console at Coyote Joe's years ago because a fight broke out right in front of house, and one guy had a pitcher of beer, and sure enough, it just came all over the console and shorted out half the desk. It was
and I
game
love
over
when
at that point.
yeah, and I love when somebody says, "Well, we'll pay for it. We'll fix it." Well, we need it tomorrow night and the night after that. We have
Yeah,
shows tomorrow. We can't get it.
it's not just tonight. We
Yeah,
have to
and we
move
need it
on.
tomorrow. We can't. It can't sit a day out and wait for one to show
Hmm.
up. There is no, none of that. So I hope they get it resolved and everyone
You
plays
should talk
fair
to
in the same.
Nathan.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Nathan was there, right, with Hank?
Oh yeah, I might can get a drop from that. Our assistant tour manager Nathan, who
You
also works
should
for Hank
call
Jr.,
him.
he was there.
Yeah.
I should get a road report from Nate on that and see. But my only comment on that is, and this is not a negative to anyone in the thing. I have nothing to do with this. Don't have a dog in the fight. But I've said this to friends locally, regionally, and nationally. Some stuff you just don't put out on social. Some stuff you just let it go, let it die. I think people airing out grievances on social media is never going to work out in anyone's favor, even if it's a short
No.
pop here or a short dig there. In the long run, you're probably best just to handle it on your own and not put it out there. And if you're looking for press on things like that, don't tell them about it. That's going to make them want to know about it more, and you'll get more press out of the deal. So,
Hmm.
but I hate it happened, but I just thought I'd throw that out there since it was topical of the day. Well, before I get into my questions that I do with all of my guests, real quick, Jeff, what would you say some of the main duties of a production manager are if you had to give a quick synopsis of a production manager, and what would your advice be to someone wanting to get into the production side of the touring world? What would be a first step for someone?
As a production manager, I think we touched on it earlier. I think the best advice I could ever probably, well, the two we just talked about too, be likable. Give everybody the time of day that they need. Listen to them. Don't be the smartest person in the room. If you think you're the smartest person in the room, I don't know what to tell you.
Find another room. Yeah.
Leave, find another room. Listen, which I like to think I'm decent enough at. Use your ears. Don't always be talking. Listen to what people have to say.
I could do
Be
better at that.
experienced. We all always could,
Yeah.
even in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Um, uh, be well versed, like the whole concept of like learning other departments, like I talked about earlier. Like if you can know how as a production manager, you got multiple different uh trades and fields coming together. Like you know how all those guys work and what they need and all that stuff. Being well versed in all those areas is huge. Um,
Knowing the lingo is half the battle in some jobs. Knowing what
sure.
verbiage you use, what stuff's called, things
Yep, we
like
got a lot
that.
of weird names for things in our business, you know.
And a lot of it
So,
transitions, and I've said this on other podcasts. A lot of the stuff that we use in touring world now, it came from stage stuff, from theatrical stage stuff,
mhm.
upstage, downstage. The reason that is
Yeah, that
because
was all theater.
down, they would put it on a slope so they could use water features and things, and just
Hmm.
all the different terminology there came from theater. And then the early stages of touring, what we do, all started with equipment used from Broadway theater stuff because they were the only ones that had the trucks, equipment, things that could possibly be used to do touring acts in the early 70s when they first started carrying their own production.
Yep.
That's where it all came from. Yeah, and I've said that too. I've
Absolutely.
said that about a good place to start is just start local. Find your favorite, like you did. Find your favorite local venue.
Yeah,
Find
work, go start as a stagehand if you want.
Ask
You
them if
know,
they need a
you'll make
runner.
some
Ask if they
money.
need some help. Whatever. What can you be helpful
Sure.
with?
They might need a runner to go get stuff. They might need a production assistant just to help buy bus stock and or like deliver some things on site, organize, you know, you might I big tours need help organizing like all the meet and greets and maybe all the passes. They got
Yep.
stuff in envelopes and they're yeah,
Security. That's why I went and did security with
security. Yep.
CSC because I knew I couldn't learn technical stuff, but I need to know security because that's going to be a big part of my job going forward if I'm going to be a big time
Hmm.
tour manager. So I went and worked for a security company for a couple years. So that's another way in. Even concessions and stuff. Joey, our old tour manager I took over, he was a Budweiser guy. He was a Budweiser rep.
Hmm.
Chris Tate, he was working for CMT just because he asked the guy, how does this truck thing work? The CMT remotes. Next thing he's working for CMT. Next thing you know, he's a tour manager. I think starting low. I don't think you should just run to Nashville to do it, but that's an option too. Jeff Gossett just drove to Nashville and happened to know somebody that worked for Red Akins, and then they needed a merch guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I started with sound image here in Nashville when I made that
yep.
transition. So like I said, I didn't even live here. I used to drive to bus call. Yeah. Find your groove in with someone. I mean, there's opportunities out there for
And
sure.
if you, again, if you
You're
and
gonna
you
have to
know what,
work your way up the chain. You're not just gonna go and become a production manager for a national touring act out. You're gonna have to prove to someone that you got all the skill sets and learn the skill sets if you don't know them yet. But
right?
if you learn them and this is a very social business, we do look at resumes, but if I'm going to hire someone, I'm probably going to ask who they worked with in the past and do they recommend them? Do they like them? What's the hang like? That's
Yep.
another thing.
Half for the
Like
hang, half for the
half for the
chops.
hang, half for the chops. Like you need to be, it's a road family on the road. It's a family. You need to be liked. You want those people to, you're living with those people for days on end.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
And you
it's a
want to, and you
family.
got
So
to, and you don't want to bring anybody else down because everybody's got to be
no,
up to get the
no.
things
I've
done.
heard
It's easier
so
when
many
everything's running.
stories of that over the years. And it's like, I hear these stories from these other people that tour in these camps. I'm like, that's horrible. Like, I would not want to be in that situation. Like
And
that,
couldn't
and people are
imagine it
walking
happened in
around
our
on
world.
eggshells. Oh
Yeah.
no, no,
I couldn't
I
imagine it
wouldn't
in our
allow
world.
it.
No, no way. And
No.
that's awesome on our artist because he lets us run our own camps. He lets us,
Hmm.
he doesn't micromanage. He lets us run it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to some of my questions here that I ask each of my guests every week because I know you got other stuff to get going today, and I got to get to the bank before 4 to get this road report in, or Katie's not going to be happy with me. I may not make it, so it may be a day late, but I'm going to try, Katie. But this is all for good cause today. Is this the first podcast you've ever been on? And
Yeah.
it is the first podcast you've been on. Well,
Yes.
that's the reason. I'm glad. That's the reason I started this because people like you need to be heard, and we'll have this forever. This will live forever. What are some podcasts that you're listening to right now? Just a couple off the top of your head.
Ooh, the Fifth Column podcast. I lean libertarian on things. I'm a conservative libertarian on stuff. So, those guys really dive into the news and the current events. A bunch of them, they're good writers and journalists. Yeah, Camille Foster and Michael Moynihan,
What's it
Matt
called?
Welsh out there. The Fifth Column.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. It's one of my go-tos.
You mentioned several through there. Who were some of your favorite people to tour with or mentors that you really want to make sure you mention before we get out of here?
And the guys I've learned so much. Well, Dave Burrows was was the audio guy on the front of house for the Rat Pack back in the day. English guy, taught me a lot about audio, a lot of the fundamentals. We learned a lot of fundamentals in college, but he taught some of the other fundamentals in music. Um, Burroughs was great. Mike D La Hoya, rest in peace. He was my boss at the Light Fantastic when I toured out of there with the Rat Pack and stuff like that. Mike had a lot of like he also was high up in the local union in 66 in Dayton too. So he taught me a lot of the business of how the unions work, how the stagehands work, how some big shows function and operate too. So he was he taught me a lot. Man, other legends. Oh, there's many. Those are my two ones that come to mind right away
Right.
though. Yeah.
Those are great.
Um
What's one of your favorite venues that you've ever played?
ooh. Uh, Red Rocks is a legend. I feel like that's
Yep.
probably been mentioned a bunch.
Yep.
I love playing there.
I threw out the gorge just because of the beauty at the gorge.
Gorge is cool. I mean, doing our shows at the Ryman. I mean, Les, to get an email from Les there saying like we had one of the best shows he sounds he's ever heard in that place. Like that just meant so much to me.
The Ryman
And
special, it's
Yeah,
always
the
it's
live
special.
album that we taped at the Ryman. Yeah, that's an amazing spot. Very like it's just a a revered or revered place.
Yeah.
With the amount of like the people that have walked through and played there. So I'd say those two. I do love theaters though. All the Foxes, the Fox theaters. I probably would be one of the few people that will ever say that. But all the Foxes across the country, like St. Louis Fox Theater, Atlanta, Detroit. Those are
Great. I
cool
love the
venues.
theaters too. I love going to theaters
Hmm.
to see acts. I love working theaters. I love theaters. It's just cozy. It's made for music. It's not a basketball arena we turn into a music
Yes.
hall. It's not a hockey arena we turn into a music hall. It's not a park or a field that we make into a concert place. It's a theater
Right.
designed to look and watch and hear really dialed in stuff. And that's
Yeah.
my favorite. Yeah.
I will always have a soft spot in my heart for any theater.
Yeah. What's this is a random one I do. What's big number in your phone of all the people you've met over the years, and you've met some random people? Who's someone that you think every now and then, and you have their number in your phone? You're like, that's crazy. How do I have so and so's number?
Artist numbers. I mean, from like Justin's or Randy Hauser's, or I'm just thinking, or Tracy's numbers. I'm thinking the guys Priscilla's. At some
Yeah,
point or another, I'm texted or called them questions or things like that. I'm like, I have a bunch of numbers in our phones, and now I think back in the time when, like, yeah, that's funny to think about.
yeah,
But they're there because
yeah.
we keep our passwords tight on our computers for that.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I think yeah, the same thing. I have people on. I'm like, whose number? And they'll say somebody random. I'm like, yeah, how you got Clint Eastwood's number? I mean, how do you have that? Or The Rock or Stone Cold or like I'm like I got a governor or two's. And
right.
all these artists and ball players or golfers or
Hmm.
just random. And then that's not even mentioning like these ex Navy SEALs and Special Forces people that we meet and we befriend and do things with. It's like.
Yeah, we have some contacts if we ever need certain things
Yeah,
to
right.
get done. Yeah.
Right. We
You
definitely,
probably have quite the list compared to me.
yeah. Well, yeah, because
You,
that's always kind of been my thing is the networking thing.
you're always on that side of things too.
Yeah.
You're a blessing and a curse. You get to make those connections, but you have to spend those time with those people during the day
Right.
too. If they're coming out visiting as guests for a show, or I don't usually don't see those folks too much.
Right. Well, like the other day, we were doing that show in Michigan, and Gary Lavox is there from Rascal Flats, and he and Justin are talking. Well, they realize they don't have each other's numbers anymore. Gary got a new phone. That's why they hadn't talked in a
Okay.
couple years. So he's like, "Well, get Jr's number and give him your number. He'll put us together." So I have to give Gary my card. So I'm
Yeah.
waiting on a text or call from the lead singer
Yeah,
of
that's a
Rascal
list of things to
Flats.
do.
Yes,
Yeah.
to make sure I get his number and give him Justin's and give Justin his, so they are connected. But I'm the connector there, and it's just so random. That'll be another one
Yeah.
that's random in there. But
That's so
that's
funny. He
fun.
came up to me as he was walking out that day past our console, and I probably had the same Buckeyes hat on or something. Gary's a big Ohio State fan from Ohio, and we're doing this show up in Michigan. We're 20 miles north of Ann Arbor, and he goes, "Man," he's like, "that takes balls to wear that hat up here." I'm like, "I'm gonna."
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, he came and hung out on the band bus for a while and chopped it up with those guys for a while.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was looking for Justin, but Justin and South had gone to the zoo while we were there that day, and so
Mm-hmm.
band guy said he hung out for 10 or 15 minutes, just BS with him. And then when I saw him and talked to him for a minute, I asked him about Will, our old piano player who's playing out on the road with Flats now, and we talked
Yep.
about how good of a fisherman he was. He's too good at being a fisherman. Can't be good at everything. Will, you're already phenomenal piano player, and you're also the best
Yeah.
fisherman I've ever met.
And cornhole. What else?
Yeah, cornhole.
what
He
else can
mastered. We watched him master cornhole in like 4 months.
I think Will master anything he gets his hands on.
Yeah,
I really do. Yeah.
yeah, he's that kind of guy. The next one I got here is birthday number one. This is the number one song in country music on the day you were born. So
Ooh.
yes, Mom finally gets you home. You're in Ohio. It's a cool night in Ohio. It's not too crazy this night. Little baby Jeffrey's born in this world. Mom's getting you at home. She gets you settled in. She turns on the country radio channel. She's thought, oh, we'll just listen to some country today. And the announcer comes on and says, the number one song in country music today this is November 11th, 1983.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the number one song that day was?
Oh, I have no idea. I would think it'd be like in '83.
Oh my God. One of the biggest. Oh, this is so crazy how this works. Sometimes it's a song, the artist, or, it's more of a
Like
song.
Wichita Lineman or something like that. I don't know.
I think that's a little before this. But
Yeah, that's
this,
the '70s, wasn't it?
yeah, that was
Maybe?
that was 70s. But this has to be one of the biggest. I'll give you a couple of hints, and I think anyone would be able to get this one. This is one of the biggest duets in country music history, done by two of the biggest artists in country music history, and is sang at karaoke and any kind of event when people sing along, probably as much as any song there's ever been. Male and
Duet.
female artist duet,
Right.
huge song.
It's like Reba or something like that in it. What is this?
And our artist JM and our West Coast regional Amy tend to sing this song anytime they're together on the bus.
It wasn't the one that Justin and Laney did together, was it? On stage, that was Sun. Oh shoot.
That's it.
Ooh. Oh, is it really? No way.
Kenny and Dolly.
Kenny Rogers or yeah, and Dolly Parton. Was that call? That song's called something. Was it Sunsets or the Beach? What is that song? Go for it.
Islands in the Stream.
Islands in the Stream.
Islands in the Streams. That
was the number one song.
That was the number one song the day you were born.
Wow. Huh.
Now you got
Full
that.
circle.
Yeah, now you got that. In
Oh,
your
I'll
bag.
never
You're
forget that now. That's funny.
That's the number one song in country music day you born was Kenny and Dolly.
Yeah, Justin Laney did that before we shut down on that tour that one time.
I forgot about that.
Yep. We put it should be on his Instagram somewhere there. There's a cut of it 'cause we took my board tape from it and chopped it up and polished it up a little bit and shot the video for it. Yeah, Islands in the Stream.
I mean,
Wow.
one of the biggest songs of all time. Definitely one of the most sung and recreated and loved songs. I mean, great tune, great tune.
Mm-hmm.
By definitely the queen of country music, in my opinion. Dolly Parton's done as much as or more than anyone, and she deserved to be on any Mount Rushmore of any music, probably, but definitely country music for her contributions. And then Kenny Rogers, a crossover, came from the rock world, kind of psychedelic Americana rock world, into country music, and no one ever gives him a hard time. But he was a crossover. He came from the rock world. So did Conway Twitty. But
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers.
Did you ever have his chicken back in the day?
I did. We had Kenny
Did you
Rogers
ever have
Roasters
Kenny
in
Rogers
Montgomery.
Roasters?
Yeah. We
That
had
was
one in
my
Montgomery.
grandma's favorite spot at home when they
It
were
was
around.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was probably, it was 30 minutes from my house, but when we'd go into town in Montgomery, we would go to Kenny Rogers Roasters sometimes and get chicken. It was good. Last one I got before we get out of here is Mount Rushmore. And it doesn't have to be country, but of music in general. What is your Mount Rushmore of music?
Ooh. Ooh. Can we just put all the guys of Led Zeppelin up there? Like, I would be okay with that.
A group is one person. So
Zeppelin's up there. Eric Clapton. Um, mm, Going from there though, it gets complicated. That's tough.
I know.
Wow. We need what we got up on
You
Rushmore.
got two. You got two more. It's four.
Two more.
And an honorable mention if there's one that's close.
I would put Sinatra up there.
I figured
Because
you put somebody from the Rat Pack.
Yeah, we'll put Sinatra up there. Or maybe if we can put a group, we'll just put all three of them on a chunk of there.
Yeah.
Frank, Sammy, Dean. Um,
I mean, because oh, Blue Eyes, man, so good, so good. That's something I
oh,
didn't
it's
learn.
it's
It's
yeah.
incredible. I never got into that type of music. I was aware of it when I was younger until I was on up in college and stuff. But
I
just
didn't know
I
anything
love
about
that.
bluegrass until I went to college, and one of the guys from the country who was in our program introduced me to like Bela Fleck and like those bluegrass, the blue Tales of the Acoustic Planet, the bluegrass sessions, incredible double disc album. Like I was like, wow, what is this stuff?
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Roger Coleman's growing up with it in Kentucky, and like I had no
right,
idea.
right.
Yeah.
I know it's weird. What you're exposed to and when you're exposed to it and when you pick it up and things.
Mhm.
So we
The
got
other group
Zeppelin,
I'd probably put on
Clapton,
there,
Rat
yeah,
Pack.
Zeppelin, Clapton, Rat Pack guys. I just don't know who that fourth one would be.
Is there a
I used to
country guy?
see. I didn't grow up listening to much country. We
Right.
were kind of a rock family.
Yeah.
Like even grandma had the Elvis and stuff like that. Mom listened to some more. Like I kind of grew up on the classic rock stuff.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I had a little of all of it, but definitely Elvis was there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, probably the fourth, if I would pick a country guy on there, would be Johnny Cash.
Cash, yeah, but
Cash. Yeah.
yeah, Cat
The Man in
Johnny's
Black.
that's hard to beat. And see, my mom was saying my mom listened to like a lot of Motown, R&B stuff.
So we had a lot of that too because we were right by Detroit. So that was a
Yeah,
big influence in Toledo as well. So my mom had some R&B stuff too.
yeah. And my dad,
But
they both grew up in the mid late '70s. So dad loved like Elton John and Credence and all that classic rock from that
hmm
era, and then some, and the Zeppelin and the ZZ Top, and I mean a lot of that, and but he liked a little country, like he used to like Little Texas and some of those bands in the '90s, early '90s. But my grandparents from Mississippi, my grandmother really didn't listen to a lot of music, but the radio came on, the clock radio came on every morning for the Country Channel, Miss 103, and then
yeah.
my granddad just had the radio on Country Channel all the time. So I grew up
Oh,
with Randy Travis and Alabama and all that stuff was real big when I was growing up. So I got a little bit, and then my grandparents on my dad's side listened to NPR, and their favorite were like Benny Goodman and
hmm.
all that type stuff. A lot of I just lost his
Some
name.
jazz.
Yeah, a lot of big band stuff. What was his name? Who got killed over the English Channel? Glenn Miller. A lot of that stuff.
Oh
My,
yeah.
my granddad
Glenn
was a
Miller
bomb.
Orchestra.
Yeah, my granddad was a bombardier in World War II. Quit college to go be a bombardier, so they like that kind of music. So they were always listening to NPR and classical and stuff. And I used to hate it when I was a kid. Now I listen to more of that than anything. That's what I listen to more than
I did.
anything.
I hated it when I was a kid too, especially because my piano teacher was trying to get me to play a lot of the classical music, and I'm like, I don't want to play this. I want
Yeah,
something with a beat to it. I want a
yeah.
groove or something. Yeah. And I remember having to sit through those Mozart and Beethoven or different other classical lessons and figuring this stuff out on piano. I'm like, no. Yeah. I wanted to
Funny
play
how
the
you.
jazz, if anything,
Yeah, that's me. I want to hear some rock and roll. And then the first
or
tape I
some,
ever
yeah.
got on my own was like Bon Jovi. That was the '80s.
My first tape I ever bought was Green Day. It was a Dookie. I think it was a
Yeah,
blue cassette tape.
yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yep.
wow. And then now same thing. Now our taste of music has just grown even more rich. Now we know about all kinds of cool stuff. I mean,
Oh, no doubt.
from Snarky Puppy to
Oh, love the snarky guys.
I know
Good.
you
Okay,
do,
that would can we?
and it's good.
That's a rotating cast, but we can't quite put them on Rushmore. They take. There's so many people in it, but
And see,
good Lord,
I've been wanting to go see it. Just doesn't work out with dates. The Postmodern Jukebox Troupe. I want to go see that.
yeah.
They're doing it in Pensacola this year, but of course we've got to be on the road.
hmm
I just love all that stuff. I love when we used to go to Chicago and go to the jazz bars and listen to that.
Yeah,
And I still
no
love going
doubt.
to New Orleans. I go to Frenchman Street and hear jazz. I love jazz more than anything these
hmm
days. And jazz fusion, that was always usually the common ground for me and musicians was always like we could, they might like heavier this, but we could always usually jam on some jazz fusion type stuff.
Yeah, some
Anywhere from
complicated music.
yeah,
Yeah.
so from Steely Dan to anything deriving left or right of that, or
hmm
it was always there. Well, man, I can't thank you enough, Jeff. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. I got to know a few things that even after 12 years I didn't know, and I think all of our audience out there will really enjoy hearing some of this insightful stuff, and maybe encourage someone to go be the next great ear in Nashville one day.
Always going to need some.
Yeah, we're
Always
gonna need
need
them.
some.
We can't do it forever.
These are
Um,
limited lifespans, so they only work for so long.
Yeah, and you got to protect. That's another thing, young people out there. If you want to do this business for a long time,
Protect your hearing. Yeah.
protect your ears. I mean, I
Just
wish
get
I'd
some
have done it more.
filters. Yeah.
Anything. Take a napkin, a bar napkin, wad it up, put it. Anything is better than nothing.
Anything. Yep.
It really is, because if you want
Agreed.
to do it for a long time, you got to be able to hear, whether you're singing, writing, recording. You got to hear what's going on. It's tough without it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, thank you very much. I know we've got some work stuff. The only thing I was going to get with you on that was the Boots and Hearts advance. They wanted us to fill out and send to them. I started doing it, but it's got some technical things in there. You should probably answer.
I sent that one over to him. If you send over what you need or what you got out of there, and they should have all the technical stuff. I have
Okay.
I've advanced with their team already, so they should be all right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure to make sure they got all our head counts and all that stuff. Well, man,
Mm-hmm.
thanks again. I'll see you in a few days. You got anything, text me. How can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle's Rack Rocker, just like it sounds. RACKROCKER Rack Rocker on Instagram. Facebook is Jeff Oliver. Those are my two main channels. I don't really dabble too much in social media besides that. So, but either
Same.
way, feel free to reach out. I'm always around.
Yeah, if you got anything, got any questions, anything like that, need something, hit Jeff up at Rack Rocker on Instagram. And come see us at a show. Me and Jeff will both be there. Tell us you heard us on the
Yep.
podcast. Hell, we'll take a picture with you.
Yeah, there you go.
Just don't bother Jeff in front of house while he's trying to mix the damn show. And whatever you do, don't put a drink on the console. Until until next week, everybody. I'm JR the Handler. That was my brother Jeff Oliver on this week's episode. We'll see y'all down that old road. Well, man, how much fun was that? Did you learn something? I sure did. I learned I don't know as much about production as I should. When he starts throwing out them numbers and names and things, I am just about lost, but I kind of know what he's talking about. I'm sure a lot of you audiophiles will definitely know. I'm going to read a passage out of my book and get out of here for this week. Trying to think which one I did last week. I'm going to do this one. This makes sense. I read this back in season 3 of the Justin Moore podcast, but probably time to read her again. Number 85. Cooler heads and common sense. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Ecclesiastes 7:9. I have never had a hot temper. I've never been quick to anger or fast to react in an assertive fashion, but I've been around some people who listen to their baser instincts and just have to respond to a disagreeable situation in an aggressive way. I remember an incident back around 1950 when I was playing junior high football for Tilston in Wilmington, North Carolina. The main high school in Wilmington, New Hanover High, was the home of the Wildcats, and they were one of the top football teams in the state that year, knocking over opponents like bowling pins. One night, our junior high school took several of us players to Durham to watch the mighty Wildcats take on the Durham Bulldogs. We couldn't believe it. The Wildcats lost, and we walked back to the car disappointed to say the least. The coach hadn't arrived yet, and as we stood beside his car on the street, one of the guys with us started making loud and disparaging remarks about Durham and their football team. A small crowd started gathering, and even though we tried to hush up our loudmouth buddy, he kept on dishing out the insults. The boys in Durham crowd started answering back, worked up the nerve to do something more physical, and had thrown one of our guys to the ground. Our coach finally walked up and cooled out the situation. The point I'm getting at here is that uncontrolled bad tempers and giving in to foolish impulses can create a bad situation, not just for the hot-headed, but for those who could become collateral damage in the crossfire. I don't know what would have happened if our coach hadn't showed up when he did, but thank God he did. Approaching a heated situation with a cool head, respect, and a soothing word can save a lot of headaches. Let's all make the day count.